Hi there, folks. My name is Jim, and welcome to my live stream. I used to be a type 2 diabetic, and I say that I used to be a type 2 diabetic very intentionally. I have reversed it. I'm in remission from it. I don't take medication for it anymore. That's per my doctor. So, however you want to word it, I don't have it anymore. And I love doing these live streams and telling people exactly what it is that I do to achieve that. So if that is something that sounds interesting to you, then stick around for this live stream. What's up, Tracy? I'm doing this again, but I'm trying it even a little bit differently. We're across multiple platforms again, and I'm excited about it, but I'm going to try something a little bit different. So, good morning, Tracy. Um, if that is something that sounds interesting to you, as in you're interested in potentially reversing your type 2 diabetes or um, I'm sorry. Let me reintroduce myself. My name is Jim, and tell Mike I said hi. My name is Jim, and I used to be a type 2 diabetic. And when I say that I used to be a type 2 diabetic, I mean that very intentionally. I have reversed my type 2 diabetes. I'm in remission from my type 2 diabetes. I don't take medications anymore for my type 2 diabetes. However you want to word it, I don't have type 2 diabetes anymore. And I love doing these live streams and telling people exactly what it is that I do to achieve those results. So if that is something that sounds interesting to you, then stick around for this live stream. I'm going to tell you everything that I do all day long to achieve those results. And it's exciting. It's easy. And I'm telling you, like, I think a lot of people say, well, just go strict carnivore, go strict keto. And these are wise decisions, right? But I don't do either of those. So I'm not going to tell you need to spend 17 hours per day in the gym. I'm not going to tell you you need to do anything like that. So stick around for this. And more than this, if this is something that sounds interesting, like you think that somebody you know or love or care about could benefit from, then share this with them and let's get them involved in the live stream as well. So let me go ahead and reintroduce myself for the people that are just now coming into this live stream. Folks, my name is Jim, and I used to be a type 2 diabetic. And I picked those words very carefully because I think words mean things. I have reversed type 2 diabetes. I'm in remission from type 2 diabetes. When I say I reversed my type 2 diabetes, Dr. Jason Fung is a nephrologist. Dr. Jason Fung would suggest that type 2 diabetes is a completely reversible disease. It is not chronic and it is not progressive, as I'm sure you've heard before. So remission, I'm in remission from it. I found an article on NIH that would suggest that type 2 diabetes remission can be achieved oftentimes through weight loss. And then finally, I was a 12.2% A1C. I've been completely unmedicated for a year now, actually over a year, about 14 months, and I have a 5.1% A1C. My doctor 14 months ago took me off of my medications because she doesn't think that I need them anymore. So however you want to word it, I just don't have it anymore. And I love doing these live streams and telling people exactly what it is that I do to achieve those results. So again, if that is something that sounds interesting to you, then stick around for this live stream. I'm going to tell you everything that I do. I do that every single day. I come on live and I tell people every single day what I do to achieve that. And we've had a lot of people. I see Tracy is in here and she's talking about her husband, about 75 days doing what I'm talking about. And he is now off of his insulin. He's off of all of his medication. I think all of his medications. I don't want to put words in your mouth, Tracy, but at least a lot of his medications in not quite 3 months. So if that is sounding interesting to you, then stick around for this live stream, and I'm going to tell you everything that I do to achieve these results. Okay. Now, with that being said, let me do one more round of introductions as we're kind of getting wound up here on the live stream. Let me get a drink real quick, wet my palate. Let's see, where is everybody listening to? I'm curious where everybody is listening from. If you're listening to me from, California, I'm from Colorado. Where are we listening to? I know yesterday we had folks from Australia, the United Kingdom, quite a few other places. So I'm just kind of curious where we're all listening from. Oh, I like that better. Boy, that looks better, doesn't it? Is that better, Tracy? I think that's a little bit less in your face with the thing. Okay. Folks, my name is Jim and welcome to my live stream. I definitely like that better. Is that better for everybody? My name is Jim and I used to be a type 2 diabetic. And I love being able to say that I used to be a type 2 diabetic. I have reversed my type 2 diabetes. I'm in remission from my type 2 diabetes. I don't take medications for my type 2 diabetes anymore. However you want to word it, I just don't have type 2 diabetes anymore. And I love being able to talk about that, get on these live streams and tell people exactly what it is that I do to achieve that. Last year, I believe I helped over 50 people reverse type 2 diabetes. Hundreds of people come off of cholesterol medications and blood pressure medications and really just start living their best life. And that's the coolest thing to be a part of. So, Tracy, I believe I've lost my connection again. Let me see here. I lost my connection again, so I've got a second iPad up here so that I can read my comments as they come in. So please bear with me. I apologize for this. What's up, Tanya? And I see Tanya, there's all the comments. La Unica. Okay, guys, I apologize. So my chats quit working on me again. And so bear with me for just one moment while we get the chat stream working again. Yeah, this is frustrating. So frustrating. Okay, so technically at its best. Yes, technology at its best. This is wonderful. My chat worked for about 3 minutes and then went out. Okay, guys, let me go ahead and do another round of introductions while I'm waiting to get my chat stream working again, and then we'll jump right into this. We'll get to the solutions, and hopefully they're able to make the chat feature work with TikTok and Restream, which is the service that I'm using to take this to you. Okay, my name is Jim, and I used to be I'm sorry to hear you are having issues. Please note that TikTok only allows our chat to read messages, not to reply or relay. That is fine, but I'm not seeing any chats from TikTok come through. Let's see if that does something. I apologize, folks. There it is. Okay. I think I've got text. Would somebody put something in the comment section so that I can see whether or not I'm actually getting some chats? Let me do another round of introductions while I'm waiting. I just saw Ron's comment come through. Tanya, there we go. Yay. Okay. Okay, here we go. Ron, Tracy is the best. Okay, guys, I think I have my chat feature back. If at any point during this live stream, it looks like I'm just ignoring all of the comments, I'm really not. I never just ignore the comments. That means that my chat feature isn't working. So if that happens, Trace or Tanya, would you guys shoot me a text and let me know, hey, you're not responding to anything? Okay, guys. And also, I see that we have some people from Twitter watching, and Twitter, unfortunately, doesn't have any sort of connectivity to Restream. So two options there. Twitter, you could jump over to TikTok and post comments from there, or I don't know how to get comments over from Twitter. Okay, so with that being said, let me go ahead and we got 3 viewers over on Twitter too, so that kind of 4 viewers on Twitter. Okay, let me go ahead and do one more final round of introductions now that I've got my feed working properly. It looks like it's working now. Okay, Folks, my name is Jim, and I used to be a type 2 diabetic. This will be the final time that I'll go through the introduction. I think we're just now kind of starting to get warmed up. So my name is Jim, and I used to be a type 2 diabetic. And I love being able to say, I used to be a type 2 diabetic. I used to be. I had a 12.2% A1C. I now have a completely unmedicated 5.1% A1C, and I have not been medicated for 14 months. So I used to be a type 2 diabetic. I have reversed it. I'm in remission from it. My doctor took me off my medications for it on February. Technically, the voicemail from her was February 17th. However you want to word it, I just don't have type 2 diabetes anymore. And I love getting on these live streams and telling people exactly what it is that I do to achieve that. And so this live stream, I'm going to go through and I'm going to tell you everything that I do. If you have questions about my diet, if you have questions about supplements that I'm taking, if you guys have any sort of questions whatsoever, please feel free to ask them. There are all sorts of things that are on the open market. I'm going to suggest that you don't have to buy any of those. You can do this without purchasing any supplements whatsoever. However, there are a lot of good supplements out there that I don't really have a problem with. I'm going to talk about a couple of them on here. But again, I'm going to suggest that you don't have to do any supplements whatsoever. You just have to understand what the root cause of the problem is. And once you understand the root cause, well, you can make it kind of go away. So with that being said, I used to be a type 2 diabetic, and I'm going to tell you everything that I do. Now, if this sounds interesting to you, then stick around for this live stream. I would suggest that if it's something that you think that somebody that you know or love or care about could benefit from, then invite them into this live stream and let's help them get healthy as well. Throughout this live stream, I'm also going to share a lot of information. I don't like to just make things up and jump online and talk about it. So what I'll do is show you where I'm getting my information from, and I try to go to the most credible sources possible. Oftentimes the Centers for Disease Control, the National Institutes for Health, NIH.gov, an official United States government website, and I like to cite published information. I like to use information from renowned doctors like Dr. Benjamin Bickman, like Dr. Andrew Huberman, like Dr. Ken Berry, and so on and so forth. So throughout the live stream, I'm going to show you a lot of proof as to why the processes that I'm using work, okay? And I see Veronica says, I have gastroparesis, I have a Hickman for medication, I have a gastro stimulator. Veronica, that sounds awful. Was your gastroparesis, I'm curious, you're on gastroparesis. Oh, that's interesting, Tanya. Veronica says, I have gastroparesis. I have a Hickman. Are you on one of the new GLP-1 receptor agonists, something like Ozempic or Wegovy or Mounjaro or Zepbound, Trulicity, Saxenda, or possibly the oral form of the semaglutide, Ribelsis? I'm really kind of curious, Veronica, if you're on any of those. If you just say yes or no in the comment section. Okay, so folks, what did I do to reverse my type 2 diabetes? Well, first and foremost, I understood the root cause. And Veronica says, no, that sounds awful, Veronica. Keep listening, and you know, that's awful. I had to understand the root cause of the problem. What is the root cause of type 2 diabetes? It's something called insulin resistance. And this is really starting to gain a lot of traction. People are starting to talk about insulin resistance more and more and more. I'm curious, goodness, Veronica, you got some stomach gut issues, chronic diarrhea, acid reflux, diverticulitis, GERD. Veronica, I believe this conversation will benefit you in quite a number of ways. Please keep listening, okay? Understanding insulin resistance. How many people are listening to me that have heard the term insulin resistance before? If you've heard insulin resistance, just type heard it, or have not heard it. How about that? Never heard of, or something like that. Let me know, just a quick little poll. How many people have heard of insulin resistance? Yes or no? Now, What is insulin resistance? Okay, quite a few people already saying they've heard of it. Wonderful. Heard it. Okay. For those that have not, Veronica has not. Hi, Sally. How are you? Sally Douglas McCoy. Okay. Don't understand. Okay, wonderful. There's quite a few people that have heard it and some that have not. Let me just do a quick, brief overview as to what insulin resistance is. And for this, I'm going to do a new feature. Let's start here. I'm going to go to the Centers for Disease Control. Insulin resistance. Here we go. Can you guys see my screen here, the Centers for Disease Control? Can everybody see this just fine? So this is the CDC, and they are describing what is insulin resistance. Boy, can you guys see this? No. Okay. That is interesting. You should be able to. Huh. I was really kind of hoping that you would be able to, but it doesn't look like you can, huh? Sharing CDC. Bear with me. A little bit of technical difficulty here. Let's see. Share the screen. Window. How about now? Can we see? You're just smiling mug. You can just see my smiling mug. Well, this kind of stinks. Of course. Of course, that's the way that it's going to be, right? Let's see. Why is that not working? Entire screen? How about this? Window. Share. Oh, there we go. Oh, okay. I think I just stumbled across something. Yep, there it is. Okay, I got it now. I figured it out. Wonderful. So let's go here. And now I'm going to come back to here. There we go. Got it. Oh, now you can't read it either. That's just pretty cool. Anyway, isn't that my luck? There we go. We can do it that way, right? And then I'll just turn. I think that is a pretty easy, when you turned the camera around or something, is when we lost you, Jim. Oh my goodness, so you lost my sound. How frustrating. How frustrating. How frustrating is that? Okay. Everyone bear with him. And now I see you guys. Nobody heard any of that. And it was so good. Okay. Just read it to everyone. Exactly. That's what I'm going to do. But I'm realizing that I need to have, interestingly enough, guys, Crazy Keith here is, can I give your job title, Keith? Because I think I could use you in this situation, Keith. Keith would be very beneficial to me right now. Let's go like this. Keith is a sound technician for ESPN Sports. And it seems like I could use a sound technician right about now. Okay, let's go like this. Can everybody hear me now? Can everybody, I'm doing this. Can you guys hear me while I've got that second screen up there? Yeah? Is it, everybody can hear me now? Yes. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you, guys. And thank you for working through this with me, okay? So let me start over. This is the Centers for Disease Control, and this is their write-up on insulin resistance and diabetes. Insulin, blood sugar, and type 2 diabetes. So what is insulin and what is insulin resistance? So insulin, the food you eat, is broken down into blood sugar. Blood sugar enters your bloodstream, which signals the pancreas to secrete insulin. Insulin helps blood sugar enter the body's cells so it can be used for energy. Insulin also signals the liver to store blood sugar for later use. Blood sugar enters the cells and levels in the bloodstream decrease, signaling insulin to decrease as well. And lower insulin levels alert the liver to release stored blood sugar, so energy is always available even if you haven't eaten for a while. Now, that's when everything works smoothly. But this finely tuned system can quickly get out of whack as follows. A lot of blood sugar enters the bloodstream. The pancreas pumps out more insulin to get blood sugar into the cells. Over time, cells stop responding to all that insulin, and they've become insulin resistant. The pancreas keeps making more insulin to try to make cells respond, and eventually the pancreas can't keep up and blood sugar keeps on rising. So ultimately, that in a big old mouthful, okay, is when we have blood sugar spikes and we maintain those blood sugar spikes for a period of time, our pancreas is secreting more and more and more insulin to try and get the cells to respond to the glucose. And over time, the cells stop responding. And when the cells stop responding, now we're talking about type 2 diabetes. So if that is what causes type 2 diabetes, and by the way, again, I want to point out that was the Centers for Disease Control. That's their write-up on what is insulin resistance. Let me just break this down. When you consume something like a piece of bread, your body converts that to glucose. The glucose goes out to your bloodstream, and your cells use that for energy. Now, the cells are not like Pac-Man just going around gobbling up glucose. They need a key. They're locked. They need a key to unlock them for the glucose to go in, and that is insulin. So your pancreas secretes insulin. Now, if you're spiking your glucose is really high from things like white bread, white rice, candy bars, soda pops, French fries, right? Pizza, pasta, all of these refined carbohydrates, potato chips. What happens? We're spiking our glucose. Donuts, bagels, I mean, coffee, sugar, right? When you have sugar in your coffee, we're spiking our glucose, and that in turn then spikes our insulin. And over time, the cells stop responding to the insulin. So if you want to reverse your insulin resistance, you need to resensitize your cells to the insulin. How do you resensitize the cells? We reduce the insulin in the bloodstream. Everybody following me so far? Did I bore the snot out of anybody? Did I bore anybody through that? Is everybody keeping up with me? So throughout this live stream, I'm going to talk about ways that we are going to suppress our insulin. And if we can suppress our insulin for long enough and get it down, then we can start to promote insulin sensitivity. And if we can promote insulin sensitivity, a lot of it, then we can start to reverse our insulin resistance. And reversing the insulin resistance is how we're going to attack type 2 diabetes without medications, guys. Let's think about type 2 diabetes as being a symptom of insulin resistance rather than a chronic and progressive disease. All right. And we're going to reduce the insulin or the glucose. Great question. Piece of Best asks, are we going to reduce the insulin or the glucose? Well, let me just tell you, they go kind of hand in hand. We're going to reduce just keep listening. It'll all kind of make sense here shortly, okay? We're going to reduce the glucose so that we can reduce the insulin. So right now, you probably have a glucose-centric approach, right? As in, hey, type 2 diabetes is all about getting the glucose down, and you're chasing the glucose with things to try and lower the glucose, right? And you're probably completely disregarding the amount of insulin that it's taking to do that, right? We're just throwing insulin at a problem, thinking that that's going to fix it. Well, it's the insulin that is the problem. It's because of the elevated insulin. The term is technically called hyperinsulinemia, elevated insulin. That hyperinsulinemia is what's causing the cells to become resistant to the insulin. And when the cells are resistant, well, we end up with elevated blood sugar or elevated glucose, hyperglycemia. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Clue, great explanation. Thank you very much. Okay, so with that being said, this live stream, I'm going to be talking about ways to reduce the insulin. That's going to be the target, is sensitizing ourselves to the insulin. Now, this image behind me, I want to talk about where this image came from, because oftentimes I got attacked yesterday. Somebody said, are you a doctor? If you're not a doctor, then shut up, right? He basically told me to shut up and go away. Now, I'm not a doctor, okay? I've never claimed to be a doctor. I don't pretend to be. They're very, very, very educated, and I'm just a dude that likes to cook barbecue and talk about facts that I found on the internet. So with that being said, let's go to this guy right here. This is Dr. Ben Bikman. Okay, Dr. Ben Bikman. Oh, you guys aren't seeing that because I turned it off. Here we go. This is Dr. Ben Bikman. Now, Ben Bikman is a professor of cell biology and physiology. Got the wrong angle back on again. It likes to go to that. He is a professor of cell biology and physiology at BYU. Now, Dr. Ben Bikman, you'll notice his research interests are very interesting. Oops. The focus of my lab, which is the Laboratory for Obesity and Metabolism, is twofold. First, we aim to identify the molecular mechanisms that explain the increased risk of disease that accompanies weight gain, with particular emphasis on the etiology of insulin resistance. I want to point that out. Insulin resistance and disrupted mitochondrial function. Dr. Bikman, that's what he's dedicated his life to, is the topic of insulin resistance. And if we go through, you will see that he has multiple doctorates, professional citizenship, courses taught. Look at how many courses Dr. Ben Bikman has taught through the years. It's a lot. The guy's been published more than 30 times on the topic of insulin resistance. All of these publications, you'll notice metabolic diseases, glucose intolerance. These are all things that you're probably interested in, right? Now, Dr. Ben Bikman has, if you just go to Google and type in Dr. Ben Bikman and insulin resistance, you'll get about 191,000 results. This guy is an absolute powerhouse when we're talking about insulin resistance. He has a website called insuliniq.com. If you're listening to me, I'm going to assume that you have a glucose problem, right? Now, this website is wonderful. Wonderful. I'm a member of it. I would suggest that you become a member of it as well. I have no affiliation with Dr. Ben Bikman other than I'm kind of a fanboy of his. So this is his website. If you scroll down a little bit, you'll see this book called Why We Get Sick. And you'll notice I'm holding the same book in my hand. I can't recommend this book enough, okay? If we scroll down a little bit further, you will see that image that I currently have displayed behind my head. I took that image from Dr. Ben Bikman. Now, what I want to really do emphasize insulin resistance is the root cause for all of those different problems. Okay, so hi, Jake Hudson. How are you? I'm doing wonderful. From D Live, that's awesome. So that image, what I'm going to ask you all is, if you just take a look at that image, how many of those symptoms are you currently treating? And more than how many of those symptoms are you treating, how many medications are you throwing at maybe one of those symptoms? Are you on a single type 2 diabetes medication, or are you one of the people that's on 2 or 3 or 4? How many medications are you taking for your high blood pressure? How many medications are you taking for, your obesity? We now have there are a lot of medications now for obesity. So actually, let me ask this question as I go through this. I want to engage everybody a little bit here. I'm going to go through that image, and as I name off these symptoms, would you be so kind as to tell me yes or no if it applies to you? If I name off something and it applies to you, type the word yes. And really what I'm doing with this exercise is, first off, engaging you. Please engage with me. I love the conversation. I love the engagement. But more than that, maybe what I really want to do is really illustrate that we're not talking about type 2 diabetes. We're talking about probably a number of different conditions that many of us are plagued with that are all caused by the same thing. Okay, so does stroke apply to you or somebody that you know? If so, say yes. Right? Stroke. How many people do you know have suffered from stroke, or heart disease, or obesity? Anybody with obesity? How about migraine headaches? That's a very, very early indicator of insulin resistance. How about dementia? Now, I doubt if anybody with dementia is listening to me right now, right? However, guess what is caused by the same thing? If you have these symptoms, you're putting yourself at high risk for dementia. How about osteoarthritis or childhood obesity? Childhood obesity, it's the largest growing population of obesity. And they're suggesting that childhood diabetes is going to increase by 700% by 2060. That is an amazing number. PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS. Number one cause for infertility amongst women in the United States. So do you have PCOS, or are you a woman who is infertile? And did you know that there's a potential link there? How about fatty liver? Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. It's the number one cause of death amongst the liver disease, which is top 10 cause of death. How about arthritis or Alzheimer's disease? Did you know that Alzheimer's disease is oftentimes referred to as type 3 diabetes? That is insulin resistance of the brain. And that is terrifying, right? How about erectile dysfunction? How many men suffer from erectile dysfunction? Sarcopenia, high blood pressure. Anybody listening to me suffer from high blood pressure? And that's a crazy one, right? And while I'm on high blood pressure, how many people are listening to me that take lisinopril? If you're on lisinopril, type me, right? Type me. Lisinopril is derived from snake venom, because snake venom will reduce your blood pressure. So let's encapsulate it and give it to people. How about that, right? And I'm going to ask the question, do you have high blood pressure because you are insulin resistant and sick, or do you have high blood pressure because your body isn't producing enough lisinopril, aka snake venom? Sarcopenia, it's a whittling away of the muscles, basically. Type 2 diabetes. How many people are listening to me that have type 2 diabetes? That's the crazy one, right? How many people have type 2 diabetes? In the United States, per the Centers for Disease Control, and I might as well go here and just talk about the CDC, right? Share this tab. So this tab right here, That's the leading causes of death. I'm sorry, that's the wrong tab. Let's go here. Share this tab. Diabetes fast facts. About 38 million people in the United States have diabetes. 1 in 5 don't know it. About 98 million have pre-diabetes. 8 in 10 don't know it. Type 2 diabetes accounts for approximately 90 to 95%. Now, if you do that math on the 38 million, that's about 34 to 36 million people in the United States are type 2 diabetic. If you add that to the 98 million, that's about 130 plus million people in the United States that have type 2 diabetes. Those are, by the way, from the Centers for Disease Control, guys. I'm not just making these numbers up. There are 333 million Americans. Per the Centers for Disease Control, more than 1 in 3 of us is either pre-diabetic or type 2 diabetic. This is a massive, massive, massive problem. Now, one more final one as I get into this. Well, actually a couple more. The economic costs of diabetes in the United States in 2022. You'll notice that this was done January of this year. Did you know the total estimated cost of diagnosed diabetes in the US was $412.9 billion? On average, here's some staggering numbers. If you are type 2 diabetic, these are staggering numbers. By the way, this is from the NIH.gov, the National Institutes for Health. It's an official website of the United States government. And this study is actually the study that the Centers for Disease Control is using in this one right here. That very same one that I just showed you, this tab right here, 98 million. In here, they talk about the medical cost being $413 billion. That came from this tab right here. On average, people with diabetes incur annual medical expenditures of $19,736, of which approximately $12,022 is attributable to diabetes. Glenn, do we trust what the CDC says anymore? A fair question. I get it. But where else should I go? Should I go to Fox News or CNN? I think if we're going to throw some numbers out there, I feel like that's the best source for me to go to. And I hope you guys can appreciate that. But did you know that it costs you, if you're listening to me and you have diabetes, did you know that it costs you about 20 grand per year? Now, maybe you're saying, I don't pay that, right? I don't pay that. My insurance covers that. Why do we think insurance rates are so high? If more than 1 in 3 Americans is either pre-diabetic or type 2 diabetic, and the diabetes number is 20 grand a piece, these are massive numbers. Now, who is benefiting from those big old numbers? Who is benefiting from the $20,000 a piece that's being spent on that? The pharmaceutical industry. Here's another one for you. This one's interesting. This is the revenue of the worldwide pharmaceutical market from 2001 until 2023. Look at that sharp incline. In 2001, it was $390 billion. In 2023, it was $1.607 trillion. $1.607 trillion. And per this study right here, this one will blow your mind. The increase in global health expenditure due to diabetes has grown from $232 billion in 2007 to $966 billion in 2021. This is a $1 trillion industry, guys. It's a $1 trillion industry. And now I'm going to ask you the question. If it's caused by insulin resistance, right? Insulin resistance is the root cause. And insulin resistance is caused by hyperinsulinemia, which is caused by the types of foods that you're eating that spike your glucose over and over and over again. What if you stop doing that? What if you just simply stopped eating foods that spiked your glucose over and over and over again? Would you come out of that hyperinsulinemic state? Yes. And if you came out of that hyperinsulinemic state, what would that do to your pharmaceutical bill? What would that do to your $20,000 tab for being diabetic? And I'm going to ask the question, why do you think this information is suppressed? Why do you think this information is being suppressed? Let me ask my audience right now. Let's see, what do we have? We've got about 65 people on TikTok right now, and we've got people on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube, as well as Twitch. These are pretty, okay, so I'm just going to put these up there. Veronica, because if they're giving you medication, they get paid. Keep coming back and they're getting checks. Lori, money. Ron Davis, money. User 6592, it's obvious. Glenn, money. Boy, Marlon, because Big Pharma is making money hand over foot, because it doesn't make sense if it makes dollars, right? If it doesn't make sense, it makes dollars. Obvious they're making too much money. Add to the customer base. So that's a great question. Roger, add to the customer base. Let me ask everybody listening to me right now. Do you think the pharmaceutical industry is looking for a cure, or do you think they are looking for a customer? More than anything, do you think you are winning or are you losing? Are they looking for a customer or a cure? And then another question would be, well, I'm just fanning the fire at this point, right? Okay, so with that, oh, everybody's saying customer. That didn't take very long at all. Okay, so as I go through this, repeat customers, everybody's saying customers and money. Sally is saying money, right? Or customer. MJ's saying money. Okay, guys. I think the point is made. So as I go through this live stream, I'm going to, let's see, losing. Went to 4 doctors, 5 years last year. Doctor, no pills. Other doctors, 38 pills a day. I mean, come on. Come on. Now, what happens? How many of us started off with a single metformin, 500 milligrams a day, maybe 1,000 milligrams a day? And a year later, it was like, wow, we tried 1,000. Let's bump you up to 2,000. Okay, not a big deal, right? And then another year goes by, and they're like, you're still running high on your glucose. Let's try and add maybe another medication like Farxiga or something like that to it, right? And so now you're on a second type 2 diabetes medication, right? And then a couple of years go by, and let's throw a third one at it. And then eventually it's like, you know what? Your pancreas isn't producing insulin anymore. You are now insulin dependent. Here is your insulin. How about that? Guys, this is my TikTok channel, okay? I don't know if you can see this or not, but this is my TikTok channel. If you scroll down, you will find all of the videos on here are very, very commonly themed. I want to play a video, and I'm hoping the sound comes through. I'm really hoping the sound comes through. So if it doesn't, do me a favor and type in the comment section if it doesn't come through. But I'm going to play a video for you. This is Dr. Ben Bickman talking about insulin therapy, type 2 diabetics. How many type 2 diabetics are listening to me right now that are on insulin therapy? Roger, what causes the jump in glucose? The foods that we're eating, bud. Great question. What causes the jump in glucose? It's the foods that we're eating. How many type 2 diabetics are listening to me that are on insulin? You're what they would refer to as insulin dependent, right? How many of you are insulin dependent? I'm going to play a video here in a moment, and it's Dr. Ben Bickman. Again, that same gentleman that I was showing a little bit ago. His website, Why We Get Sick. By the way, if you don't have why we get sick, you should. I'm going to play this video, and it's Dr. Bickman talking about insulin therapy with type 2 diabetics, okay? So let me jump over to here, and this is it. And type in the comment section if you're not hearing the sound, okay?
But regardless, because we have a glucose-centric view of the disease, essentially the clinician is saying, well, to heck with your insulin. Who cares if we push it up even higher? They might not even know where it is. All they know is if they push the insulin up even higher, the glucose will in fact come down. And because that's the target, the glucose, they believe they're achieving the optimal outcome. However, it's much more complicated and sinister than that. The more aggressively we're giving a type 2 diabetic insulin to control their glucose, the faster we kill them. They are 3 times more likely to die from heart disease, and twice as likely to die from cancer, and twice as likely to develop Alzheimer's disease. And throughout all of it, they need more and more and more insulin because they're becoming ever more resistant to it.
Okay. Did that hit home for anybody? Did that resonate with anybody listening to me right now that's maybe on insulin therapy? Anybody on insulin therapy? Okay, let me move on. I'm going to jump into a 3-step protocol that I adhere to. It's pretty simple. It is 3 steps. I have to do them every single day. There's no option, okay? And those 3 steps individually, each and every one of them is targeted at promoting insulin sensitivity. Now, are there other solutions like berberine or apple cider vinegar or carnivore diet or keto diet? There are all sorts of solutions. Are they part of my absolute musts? No. Do I get it? Absolutely. I eat carnivore food, carnivore diet maybe for lunch quite often. Maybe I'll take berberine before a heavy carbohydrate meal, something like that. But are they like part of my everyday? No. So with that being said, I'm going to lay out the 3 things that I do every day. And all 3 of these things, they work independently. When we put them together, they're very powerful. Okay. So the very first thing that I do every single day is intermittent fasting. Simple. Stop eating so frequently. Out of a 24-hour day, I don't eat for 16 hours. Now, for me personally, from 8 p.m. until noon the following day, I don't eat. And between noon and 8, I allow myself 2 meals every day. Thank you, Tanya. By the way, Tanya Lee started, we met last year through TikTok, and Tanya has now heard enough of my live streams that she 100% knows my rhythm. She will type these things up and pin them for you. A lot of people like to take notes or take screenshots. Thank you, Tanya. This is awesome. I love this. You know that I love that you do that. But Tanya will do this for those people that want to take notes or take screenshots, something like that. So everybody give Tanya a thumbs up. And I appreciate you, Tanya. So step 1, intermittent fasting, a 16 and 8 time-based eating schedule. And again, for me personally, at 8 p.m., I'm done eating for the day. I don't eat again until the following day at noon, and between the hours of noon and 8, I allow myself 2 meals. And before you go, oh my gosh, I can't eat, I'm talking about skipping breakfast. The level of commitment that I'm really talking about here is skipping breakfast, okay? And anybody can skip breakfast. In fact, the world record for the longest medically supervised fast was 382 days. 382 days. A guy went without food for more than a year. We can all skip breakfast. Now, what are we doing when we do this? Okay. How many of us listening to me right now have a little bit of some extra jiggly around your belly and you don't want it anymore? If that is you, then just type me. Okay. You got a little bit of some belly fat. You want to get rid of it. It's getting to be that season. It's April 16th. We're getting ready to the spare tire effect, right? We're getting ready to go out to the beach. We're going to put the swimsuit on, and we don't really want that, right? Is that God's nasty little joke on humanity? Like, I'm going to make you look awful in a swimsuit. No, it is not God teasing you. It's a fuel source. It's there for a reason, guys. So let's talk about hunter-gatherer stage of our development, right? J House, how are you? How are you? I love seeing you in here, J House. Okay, so it's a fuel source. Understand? Let's go back to hunter-gatherer stage. So what are we really doing? Hunter-gatherer stage, they didn't have a refrigerator. They didn't have a pantry. And they were nomad. They would be walking for hours, all day long, really. So diet and exercise, right? This kind of makes sense. They would be walking, and what were they eating? Along the way, they would eat nuts and berries. And they didn't sit down to like a plate full, like a bowl of berries. They would grab a handful of berries or a handful of nuts, and they would keep walking. And it might be 6 or 8 hours before they got another handful of berries or nuts. And it might be every 3 or 4 days before they got a protein, or even more before they got a protein. That's the way that our body was developed. Now, in 1944, here's a little bit of a history thing. In 1944, the General Food Corporation, Charles William Post Cereals. Charles William Post, I believe, died in 1918. His daughter took over the business, Post Cereals. And in 1944, they were operating under the name General Foods. Now, at that time, they were trying to increase their grape nut cereal sales. And so they started an ad campaign, 1944, called Eat a Better Breakfast, Do a Better Job. That was their push. What is the most skipped meal across the globe? Is breakfast. And if you're a food manufacturer, your sales, because if it doesn't make sense, it makes dollars. Right? If it doesn't make sense, it makes dollars. So in 1944, General Foods was trying to increase its dollars, and they launched an ad campaign. Eat a better breakfast, do a better job. By the mid-60s, we were coining phrases like breakfast is the most important meal of the day. We've heard that before, right? But really, that started around 1944. If you look at pre-turn of the century, what was an average person's diet? It was whole foods, and it really was lunch and dinner. If they had breakfast, it might be eggs and bacon, right? There wasn't freshly fried hash browns and that sort. It was eggs and bacon. It was whole food. Now, what are we talking about when we skip breakfast? If your insulin levels are high, right? That's causing hyperinsulinemia. That's causing the insulin resistance. We want to get that down. When we skip breakfast, what are we doing? We're lowering our glucose and lowering our insulin. Incidentally enough, if you are a type 2 diabetic and you deal with that morning glucose number being a little bit high, go back to what I said from the CDC. When your insulin levels are low, that tells the liver to secrete more, or to put out more glucose to give you energy. Well, if you're insulin resistant, it's kind of like eating a slice of cake at 2 o'clock in the morning. That is called the dawn phenomenon. It makes perfect sense why your glucose numbers will be elevated in the morning. You are insulin resistant. Your insulin levels are down. That tells the liver to pump more glucose out into your bloodstream. So it does. And it's too much for your insulin to handle. So you're elevated glucose. It makes perfect sense. It's your body trying to wake you up, get you ready for the day, right? So, but with that aside, what are we doing? We're really trying to keep our glucose numbers down. If we can keep our glucose numbers suppressed, what do? We keep our insulin levels suppressed. Now, if you are in that state, if your body is low glucose, low insulin, what is it using for fuel? There's no glucose, right? It's not there. What's it using for fuel? Your alternative fuel source. We have a built-in hybrid system. It's there. Dr. Mark Mattson is a neuroscientist out of Johns Hopkins Medical University. He's been studying intermittent fasting for more than 25 years. I would highly suggest you go and look up Dr. Mark Mattson, Johns Hopkins Medical and read his work. What he says is that at about 12 to 14 hours of fasting, your body metabolically switches its fuel source from glucose to fat. If you want to see that fat melt away, start using it for energy. Voila, right? And you look at it, what happened? When did obesity really start to set in for us? The 1900s? Why wasn't it as prominent pre the 1900s? Food storage. The 1900s, we began to store food. It became more accessible. When it became more accessible, we started eating all day long. We never allowed our bodies to metabolically switch. Does this make sense? Is everybody following me so far? If you want to see that fat melt away, start using it for energy. Now, who's heard of Joslin Diabetes Center? Has anybody heard of Joslin Diabetes Center? Let's see. Joslin.org. Can you guys, okay, I'm just making sure I can still see the comments. We need shirts. I'll talk to Michelle. We are fat burning machines. Okay, Joslin.org. Let me come over here, guys. Let me share this screen real quick. Let's go here, and I'm going to need to change to this. Let's see. Boom. There we go. Joslin.org. Okay. Joslin Diabetes Center. I want to go to the About page of Joslin Diabetes Center. History. Let's go to the history page. Let's start right here. Joslin Diabetes Center has been improving the lives of diabetes patients since 1893, 131 years ago. Okay. This Joslin's Diabetes Center, Joslin.org. Okay. This is Dr. Elliot Joslin. Now, Dr. Elliot Joslin graduated med school in the 1800s. And in the 1800s, as I've kind of illustrated so far, obesity, diabetes, they were extremely rare. And for that reason, there was no reason to specialize in diabetes. There wasn't enough diabetes cases in the US for a doctor to say, I'm going to be a specialist in diabetes. However, when Dr. Joslin graduated med school, Dr. Joslin found out that his mother and his aunt both had type 2 diabetes. Actually, I don't know about type 2. Found out they both had diabetes. Now, when he found that out, he decided to make diabetes his specialty. Okay, now what did Dr. Joslin suggest? Dr. Joslin thought the keys to diabetes control were strict glucose control, which everybody who's a diabetic listening to me right now understands, right? Strict glucose control is key. The other thing he thought was intermittent fasting. In fact, he would go on, and I'm going to flip this around because I don't know how to get my camera to show it, but let me see. You guys can see this right here, and I'm going to read it to you. That temporary periods of undernutrition are helpful in the treatment of diabetes will probably be acknowledged by all after these 2 years of experience with fasting. Now, what was Dr. Joslin illustrating? Wonderful. Michelle, you just ordered the book. Wonderful. Congratulations. That book's going to change your life, okay? Now, Dr. Joslin was suggesting that this wasn't that big of a deal. All we had to do was stop eating so frequently. And if we would do that, this diabetes thing would kind of just go away. 108 years ago, he was talking about that. And he was talking about strict glucose control. Now, we, of course, have implemented strict glucose control. We know this. But did we do anything about the intermittent fasting? No. A few years after we discovered, after he wrote that, we discovered insulin. And insulin would land in the hands of the pharmaceutical industry. And in 2022, the global pharmaceutical, the human drug market, the human insulin drug market was $45 billion. B as in billion. It is estimated to surpass $84 billion by the year 2030. So that's just 6 years away. And I would ask you, are we really thinking we're going to double the number of type 1 diabetics that need insulin? Or are they planning on giving more type 2 diabetics the medication that's honestly causing the problem? And why would they do that? Why would they give type 2 diabetics something that will worsen the problem other than to make dollars? Who's heard of Dr. Jason Fung? If you've heard of Dr. Jason Fung, type I have. Dr. Jason Fung is a nephrologist out of Toronto, Canada. He studies kidneys, and he found a relationship between poor kidney health and insulin resistance. Okay, he thought, and everybody thinks of Dr. Fung. Everybody thinks of Dr. Fung as this guy who is curing diabetes, right? Really, what his work was trying to fix the kidneys. He's a nephrologist, and he found a relationship between poor kidney health and insulin resistance. He thought that if we would reverse the insulin resistance, that it would have a profound effect on the kidney. And he was right. And what did he do? Dr. Jason Fung went to the work of Dr. Elliot Jocelyn from more than 100 years ago. Strict glucose control and intermittent fasting. Dr. Jason Fung had his patients start adhering to a very strict intermittent fasting schedule, and for the strict glucose control, a low-carb, high-fat diet. Now, what is a low-carb, high-fat diet? It is keto, right? And this makes perfect sense. So you'll hear people say, just go carnivore, just go keto. Well, it makes perfect sense, right? If you eliminate the carbs, and the carbs are causing the glucose, and the glucose is causing the hyperinsulinemia, well, get rid of the carbs, and you'll lower the insulin. And if you lower the insulin, voila, piece of cake, right? It makes perfect sense. Carnivore takes that even a step further. A carnivore diet eliminates all carbs, vegetables, breads, all that, right? It gets rid of all of it. They just eat high-fat foods, high-fat proteins like steak, bacon, eggs, that sort of thing, ground beef, but they don't eat any carbs because carbs cause a glucose and then an insulin response. And if you lower the insulin, well, voila. Guess what happens when the cell becomes resistant to the insulin? The glucose doesn't go into that cell. The insulin has to store the glucose. It has to put it somewhere. It puts it in a fat cell. Insulin is storing that glucose somewhere. It's going to store it in the form of fat for later use. If you want to see the fat disappear, thank you, Tanya, lower your insulin. How do you lower your insulin? Lower your carbs. Step 1 of the protocol that I adhere to is intermittent fasting. It is not keto. I am not keto. I'm not carnivore. I'm not vegetarian, certainly not vegan. I don't have a problem with vegetarian or vegan. There's no way. And I'm not keto and I'm not carnivore. I love meat, but there's just no way. I like a variety of foods. I generally would say that I have more carnivore style meals than I don't. And when I'm not eating carnivore, I'm either keto or Mediterranean. But I would say that I do allow myself cheat meals like pizza, like pasta. I was just in Hawaii with my wife on vacation, and I certainly pigged out. I had white rice. I strongly avoid things like white rice because what are they doing? They're spiking that glucose. If they're spiking the glucose, we're getting that insulin response. It's just not good. So are there any questions about step 1 of the protocol being intermittent fasting? Or are we ready to move on to step 2? If anybody has any questions about step 1, intermittent fasting, 16-8 time-based eating schedule, I do want to point out, and Tanya put it in the comment section here, Dr. Mindy Pell's Fast Like a Girl. Dr. Mindy Pelz is a powerhouse in this realm. Now, Dr. Mindy Pelz wrote a book called Fast Like a Girl, and really it's targeted towards the women who want to intermittent fast, understanding that your hormones are different than my hormones as a guy, and your fasting schedule may vary depending on the week of the month, if you can follow what I'm putting down there. And so if you're a woman listening to me and you're interested in the fasting side of this, Fast Like a Girl by Dr. Mindy Pelz. The other book that Tanya highlighted is called Life in the Fasting Lane by Dr. Jason Fung. Now, Dr. Jason Fung is like a 5-time best-selling author. He's also written books like The Obesity Code, The Cancer Code, the Diabetes Code. Wonderful books. He's got a cookbook that I just purchased. It's called, it's actually right here, The Diabetes Code Cookbook. Okay. Wonderful books. Worth checking out. If you want to get educated on this, read books. All of these books, by the way, are also available on audio files. So if you're actually like me and I don't like to read, but I like to listen, they're all available on audio files. So all the books that I have, I've actually got on audio file, and I would listen to them while I was driving around. So all available there. Are there any questions on step 1, or are we ready to move on to step 2? If you guys are ready for step 2, type the word ready for me. Otherwise, and boy, we got quite the audience today. Twitter has jumped in. And Twitter, by the way, I can't see your comments. So if Twitter is making comments, they have not made the integration with Restream yet, so I cannot see your comments. I just bought The Complete Guide to Fasting by Jason Fung. It's awesome. MJ, it is an amazing book, right? Here we go. I'm not talking about cortisol. We got a whole big problem here, Viva. I do see the question. I'm trying to stay on topic with these 3 steps here, okay? But yes, we want to control everything. Okay, so step 2, consume more chlorogenic acid. What is chlorogenic acid? How can I start intermittent? I love that question. Okay, I'm going to back up just a little bit. Oh, dang it. Tanya just jumped in. And but Robert asks, how can I start intermittent fasting? Robert, great question. If you're a lot like most people and you're just conditioned to eat all day long, graze, if you will, right? We have a healthy breakfast, a healthy snack, a healthy lunch, a healthy snack, a healthy dinner, a healthy snack, and then we have a cookie or a cupcake or something at the end of the day, right? Start out slow. There's a fasting schedule called a 4-4-12, and basically what that is you eat a meal, you wait 4 hours. Eat a meal, wait 4 hours. Eat a meal, wait 12 hours, and then you can repeat again. Try a 4-4-12 to begin, okay? And then maybe stretch that into a 14 and 10. That's 14 hours of fasting and a 10-hour window. And maybe still even consider doing 3 meals in that 10-hour window, spacing them out as frequently as possible. And then maybe take that to a 16 and 8, where you're getting 2 meals with no snacks in the 8-hour window. What's going to happen? You will begin to restore your leptin signaling, and it will get easier. Okay. When you first start, it may be challenging, but it will get easier. I can promise you that as a former type 2 diabetic, when somebody said you got to intermittent fast, I was like, no, that ain't going to work. That is not going to work. I like to have breakfast. I like to have my sugary coffee. I like to have this. I like to have that. It's the reason I got sick. Once you understand that it's the reason that you got sick and it becomes a motivating factor in changing, it'll get easier, okay? And biologically, you'll start to restore leptin signaling, and it will get easier that way as well. Randy Conley, thank you, brother. How are you, Randy? Definitely gets easier as you condition your body for it. Randy, can I tell a little bit of your story here, Randy? Just give me a quick yes or no, Randy. Randy came across my live stream, I think around June or July of last year. Started following, started listening, and I don't want to give away details on Randy until absolutely. There he goes. Okay, he says absolutely. So Randy here came across my live stream last June or July-ish. Now, 5 years ago, I believe, it might have been 4 years ago, 5 years ago, something like that, Randy had a massive heart attack, quadruple bypass kind of thing. The image that I've seen of Randy in the hospital bed is terrifying. Here's a loving husband, a loving father, religious man. Dang it, I'm about ready to get teared up talking about you, Randy. On a hospital bed with tubes just coming out of him, out of his mouth, out of his chest, out of his body. He's on his deathbed. And they put him onto the usual suspects. A friend of mine, Ro, calls it the starter pack, right? His starter pack was every blood pressure medication, every cholesterol medication, all of these things. Now, Randy started listening last June, July, and decided to start adhering to this protocol. Randy is now, as best I know, Randy, I believe you're off of your cholesterol medications. You're off of your high blood pressure medications. Randy, would you just maybe give a one-line sentence or a two-line sentence, a comment as to what this protocol, adhering to this protocol, what it's done for you personally? And I also want to add in, Randy's wife, Kristen, was a type 2 diabetic who started as a very skeptic. She was skeptical of this random dude on TikTok. Her husband's like, I think I want to listen to this guy. I think it makes sense. And his wife, very skeptical, type 2 diabetic with an 11.2% A1C, is now down to a 7.1% A1C, seeing amazing results as well. So if Randy puts his comment up there, I will highlight it, but I'm really kind of curious, there is hope. Okay. So let me jump back on track. Step 2 of the protocol. And by the way, Robert, you are welcome. Step 2 of the protocol is consuming more chlorogenic acid. Now, what is chlorogenic acid? Chlorogenic acid is a polyphenol. It's a naturally occurring polyphenol. We will find chlorogenic acid in certain fruits, certain vegetables, nuts, seeds, green tea, black tea. In nature, it is most abundant in a green coffee bean. Now, to that point, what do I mean by that? Chlorogenic acid really is one of the most abundant polyphenols on Earth, okay? We find it in all sorts of food and green coffee beans. Now, green is just a non-roasted coffee bean, okay? That just means that it's green. It's not been roasted yet, okay? So, because it is most abundant in a coffee bean, there is a lot of research that revolves around coffee consumption and the benefits of chlorogenic acid. So as people are listening to me right now, how many of you are on blood pressure medication? And just say I am if you are on a blood pressure medication. Borderline, let's see, Nellie says, I'm borderline diabetic and my teen was recently diagnosed celiac disease, trying to figure out best for. Keep listening, Nellie. Okay, keep on listening. Okay, sipping coffee as you talk this morning. Good morning, Christina, how are you? Okay, Robert is a insulin. Brenda has, elevated blood pressure medication. Okay, what if, guy, and I'm assuming there's a lot more. We got, what, 50-something people on TikTok. We got 16 people on Twitter. We got 2 on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, a lot of people. I'm assuming there's a lot of people who maybe just are being quiet that are on a blood pressure medication. It's one of the most abundant things out there. JP, how are you, brother? How are you, man? What if I could show you proof that chlorogenic acid is a natural way to reduce your blood pressure? Would you be interested in that? If I could show you proof that chlorogenic acid will reduce your blood pressure, would you be interested in that? Yes or no? Chrissy says, I still take meds, but doses are coming down. How wonderful is that, Chrissy? Robert says, yes. Yes, that would be interesting. Kirk, sounds good. Annie Rose, yes. Right? Okay, so here we go. I'm going to show proof that it lowers blood pressure. Now, how many people are listening to me that are on metformin, right? We've all heard of metformin, right? What if I could show you proof that chlorogenic acid acts in a similar way to metformin? Would that be interesting? Would that be interesting if you knew that chlorogenic acid acted in a similar way to metformin? Yes or no? Would that be interesting to you? And then how many people are on a GLP-1 receptor agonist? And maybe you're like, what did he just say, right? GLP-1 receptor agonist. Glucagon-like peptide 1. That is an incretin hormone that's produced in our gut. Now, there are advantages to increasing our glucagon-like peptide 1. When GLP-1 is up, insulin and glucose are down. If we have elevated glucose or elevated GLP-1, we have appetite suppression. We slow down stomach dumping. We get all sorts of things, benefits to increasing our GLP-1. So we've got a whole class of medications that we inject ourselves with once a week that agitate our body into producing more GLP-1, right? That whole class of medications. You may have heard of Ozempic or Mounjaro or Wegovy or Zepbound or Trulicity or Saxenda. There's now an oral form called Rybelsus. That's an oral form of the semaglutide that we might have heard of Ozempic or Wegovy, right? There is all of these medications, GLP-1. Maybe you've heard of those, right? Now, what are they doing? They are receptor agonists. They are getting your body to produce more GLP-1. Now, in Dr. Ben Bikman's words, right, if 1 to 10 is a natural state, they are pushing us to an 11. And it's not without side effects, right? When you start pushing into that high range for extended periods of time, I don't know if you know this or not, but every single one of those, go to their websites and look it up for yourself. Every single one of those has a box warning for thyroid C-cell tumors, including cancer. There was somebody in here earlier who mentioned they had gastroparesis. That is a paralyzing of the stomach muscle. They are slowing down stomach dumping so much. We want to be 4 to 6 hours, right? That's a wonderful place. 4 to 6 hours. They're slowing it down to 24 to 48 hours and causing gastroparesis, paralyzing of the stomach. And if that person is still listening to me, it is awful. That's why I asked you the question, Veronica, are you on one of those? It is awful. Would you agree with that, Veronica? And how about when we shrink the fat cell as rapidly as they are shrinking, there has to be something else to pick up that metabolic burden. So your body develops more fat cells. The term for that is going from hypertrophic to hyperplastic. Now, have you wondered why when people come off of those medications, the weight comes back rapidly and worse? Like they get bigger than they were to begin with, and it happens rapidly because they have more fat cells. They've gone from hypertrophic to hyperplastic. Now, the reason I bring this up is, what if there was a natural way to increase your body's own GLP-1 production? What if I could show you proof that chlorogenic acid was a way to naturally increase your body's own GLP-1 production? Would that be interesting to you? Yes or no? If you're listening to me, would that be of interest? So I'm going to go through a bunch of proof here. Veronica says yes. Thank you for teaching us that there. You're welcome, 8274. Okay, guys, let's jump over to this. Let me see. Here we go. I want to share my screen. Share. I'm sorry, what foods have? Okay, here we go. Can you guys see my screen? Google what foods have chlorogenic acid. In addition to coffee, fruits and vegetables, as well as Chinese herbal medicines, are also a wide range of sources of chlorogenic acid, right? So let's just really talk about coffee. It's one of the most abundant resources on earth. A lot of the research I'm going to show you revolves around coffee consumption. So with that being said, if you're on a blood pressure medication, this one right here, by the way, PubMed ID, if anybody's interested and wants to read these in depth, the PubMed ID for this is 24943289. The effects of chlorogenic acid on blood pressure. This is a systematic review and meta-analysis of randomized clinical trials. If there are any doctors or scientists who are listening to me right now, this really is the gold bar standard, right, for research. Am I correct? Would anybody validate that statement? This is what we're looking for. And in here, and again, I gave you the PubMed ID so you could read it yourself, but let's just go to the conclusion. In conclusion, the evidence from published randomized, oh, dang it. You guys aren't even seeing that screen. Dang it. Here we go. I apologize. Okay, this was what I mentioned. What foods have chlorogenic acid? Go to Google, and this is where, in addition to coffee, fruits and vegetables, as well as Chinese herbal medicines, are a wide variety of chlorogenic acid. This research right here, again from PubMed, the effects of chlorogenic acid on blood pressure. This is a systematic review and meta-analysis of randomized clinical trials. There is your PubMed ID, 24943289. If you'd like to look this up for yourself, just type that PMID 24943289. It'll bring you right here. In here, we've got this right here. This is a pretty powerful statement. In conclusion, the evidence from published randomized clinical trials suggests that chlorogenic acid intake causes statistically significant reductions in systolic and diastolic blood pressure. Chlorogenic acid, we have proof, lowers blood pressure. That's pretty powerful. Now, let's go to this one here. Again, PubMed ID 36465648. And this one, done November of 22, chlorogenic acid improves glucose tolerance, lipid metabolism, inflammation, and microbiota composition in diabetic mice. And in this one here, if you're on metformin, this one may be of interest to you. The results showed that chlorogenic acid decreased body weight, so it aided in weight loss. How many people would like to lose some weight? Chlorogenic acid decreased body weight and improved glucose tolerance and insulin resistance. It promoted insulin sensitivity. And these effects were similar to those of metformin. I think that's a very powerful line. These effects were similar to those of metformin. Now, this one here, I don't know why it always starts out at the bottom of this page, but this one here, PubMed Central this time, PubMed Central ID, okay? Roles of chlorogenic acid on regulating glucose and lipids metabolism. This is a review. I want to point that out. However, I think it's powerful. There are some statements in here that I think are very powerful. For example, it is reported that daily consumption of 3 to 4 cups of decaffeinated coffee containing high contents of chlorogenic acid significantly reduced the risk for type 2 diabetes mellitus by 30%. Chlorogenic acid is a novel insulin sensitizer that potentiates insulin action similar to the therapeutic action of metformin. Now, I would ask the question, Frostcom asks, is this live? Yes, it is, Frostcom, it is. And thank you for watching from Twitch. Okay. Let me see. Have I missed any questions? He's our science guru. Okay. So anybody have any questions about that? And I want to go over to, let's talk about GLP-1. Remember I mentioned GLP-1? I want to talk about this guy right here, Dr. Andrew Huberman. Can you guys all see this screen? Oh, I just realized I didn't share this. Man, I gotta remember to click these screens. There is the second study I cited. Here is the third study I cited. And then finally, let's talk about this guy right here, Dr. Andrew Huberman. Has anybody heard of Dr. Andrew Huberman? Dr. Andrew Huberman, this is his profile on Stanford Medicine, Stanford's website, okay? He is an associate professor of neurobiology. Dr. Huberman has a bachelor's from the University of Cal Santa Barbara, his master's from the University of Cal Berkeley, his PhD from the University of Cal Davis, and his postdoctorate from Stanford University. This guy is pretty smart. I think it's safe to say he is pretty educated. This is him talking about GLP-1 and a T.
And he realized the guy down in South America was looking at Gila monsters, those really scary things. And he realized they don't have to eat very often. I wonder if they're hungry all the time or not. Turns out it takes their blood, isolates a peptide, which turns out to be GLP-1, puts it into other animals, and realizes it suppresses appetite. Amazing, right? Like this is what I love about biology. Some dude who studies Gila monsters. Turns out humans make GLP-1. GLP-1 is stimulated by things like yerba mate tea. Certain other compounds, plant compounds, stimulate its release. But what does it do in the hypothalamus? It suppresses hunger by way of, there's a particular brain arcuate pathway, blah, blah, blah. But it also affects the mechanosensors of the gut so that you feel like your gut's full. Like it's almost like you're getting like a pharmacologic tummy, stapled stomach, right? So when people take a drug that mimics GLP-1, their brain is like, well, I'm not as hungry, and their stomach feels full even though it's empty. The guy down in South America was looking at healing.
How about that? Anybody think that is reasonably interesting? Argentinian soccer players love it. Carrie says, yeah, Argentinian soccer. In fact, the Argentinian soccer team, it would have been last year, the World Cup, they took 1,100 pounds of yerba mate over there. How about that? Yerba mate, a tea, stimulates, and you just heard it from a very, very intelligent person, not some random dude on TikTok. Yerba mate tea stimulates your body's production of GLP-1. Is that new news? Is that interesting? Priceless. I love this. Okay, great question. How do we ensure that we are consuming enough chlorogenic acids? Are there supplements? Priceless. There are supplements, and I'll talk about ones that I take in just a moment. But I don't ever want this to turn into a commercial, so I'm never going to suggest that anybody has to take any supplements. And I'll type yerba mate up here. I just pinned it, yerba mate. Okay. Now you want to be careful. Not all yerba mate is the same. If you go to the grocery store and you buy the yerba mate in the can, it's probably got like 40 grams of sugar. Not good. Okay. Yerba mate, loose leaf yerba mate is the way to go. It's served very traditionally. Carrie says, thank you very, Carrie says, the education you give is priceless. Thank you. Thank you. And actually, all I'm doing is taking what very smart people say and putting it in front of you. I'm not that smart. I just put what very smart people say in front of you, and hopefully you're able to draw your own conclusions and hopefully get better along the way, okay? I don't get to take any credit for this. Okay, so with that being said, I do want to talk about a supplement, but is there any questions about yerba mate or chlorogenic acid in general? And if there are questions, go ahead and fire them away. Or are we ready to talk about a supplement? If anybody's ready for a supplement, type the word ready, and I'll know that you're ready for supplement conversation. That's what teachers do. They learn and then teach, take credit. You put in the time for us. Well, thank you. That's very kind words. I try hard. Okay. Okay. Cheryl said, and we're getting quite a few people that are saying ready. So Mountain Girl, ready. Tracy is ready. Veronica is ready. Okay. So here we go. This is a, let me go ahead and turn this camera off, make this a little bit bigger. This is a yerba mate extract. Now, what do I mean by yerba mate extract? The company that makes this starts with the original farmer. By the way, the yerba leaf really is only grown in the regions of South America that are Argentina, Brazil, Paraguay. There's a thick red clay-like soil, and when they pair it with that dense rainforest climate, that really is the only place in the world that that yerba leaf will grow. They are hand harvested, hand picked. There's about a 1 to 2 week window annually where they can pick those leaves appropriately. And so they will hand pick them, hand harvest them. This company is still buying them from those original farmers. It's not a GMO thing where they're growing it in a different region. They're still buying it from those original farmers. Now, they take that yerba leaf, they fire roast it in a very similar way to the way that it's always been done for nearly 1,000 years. But then they stop the traditional process and they extract the good things like chlorogenic acid, like theobromine. Now, the chlorogenic acid in this product is about 10 times the chlorogenic acid of a typical cup of coffee. So this little packet of tea represents 10 cups of coffee with regard to chlorogenic acid. This little packet of tea represents about 375 times the chlorogenic acid of a typical cup of yerba mate. So if we're talking about the benefits of chlorogenic acid and yerba mate, this is about 375 cups worth of yerba mate in one. Cost me about $1.72. So it's not a very expensive tea. You just add it to water, shake it up, and sip on it. Okay, so that is the supplement that I take. I also want to point out some research that has been done on this particular tea. Let me find the research on it real quick. I'm going to share this tab here. Okay. Oh, dang it. I like that it keeps on doing that. Okay, here we go. This tab here, this is a yerba mate supplement. Here is your PubMed ID, PubMed Central ID. Okay, yerba mate supplement, and I want to point out supplement. This particular research paper was done with Dr. Ben Bickman. Again, I don't know if you recall or not, but this guy here, world's leading metabolic scientist, Dr. Bickman has now studied this tea ad nauseum. Dr. Bickman has studied this product ad nauseum. Now, what Dr. Ben Bickman has found is that this particular tea increases your body's own GLP-1 production by up to 70% during a fasted state. And I really want to just emphasize Dr. Bickman. Okay, this guy here says that this tea, not yerba mate in general, this tea increases your GLP-1 production by up to 70% during a fasted state. That research is actually being published as we speak. I can't show you that research, but I can certainly show you Dr. Ben Bickman himself verbally saying those words. I steal that as a quote directly from Dr. Ben Bickman. I can show you his mouth breathing the words, saying the words. Okay, so with that being said, there is a supplement for that. That's what I take. That's why I take it. It gives me an amazing boost of energy in the morning. It really is an excellent appetite suppressant. If you are trying to fast, this extends the fast. There's also research that shows that it increases ketone production. It promotes insulin sensitivity and all the things that we want. So are there any questions about step 2 of the protocol, or are we ready to move on to step 3 of the protocol? By the way, there are only 3 steps, so we're nearly at the end. Okay, ad nauseum, right? Okay, the name. Guys, I see the questions here. What is the supplement? Okay, so here's the deal. I don't give away the name until the end of the live streams, and this is the reason why. I have found that when people get the name, they go out and they Google it because they're curious, of course, and they find out it's exactly what I said that it was, and they come back into the live stream, but then they've missed step 3, which I'm getting ready to start right now. So, and furthermore, I have been very, I hope, transparent in saying that I never think that anybody has to buy any sort of supplements. You can do this on your own, and I don't want this to be a commercial for the people who aren't interested in buying anything. So at the end of the live stream, for the people that are interested, I will certainly show you how to find the tea and how to purchase it for the people that are interested at the end. I hope that's fair to everybody. Okay, I see right here. This tea is amazing at curbing my hunger, not hungry until lunchtime. Right there. There's user 8274. Thank you. Okay, so are we ready for step 3? If we're ready for step 3, type ready. Otherwise, feel free to ask questions on step 2, chlorogenic acid. And just a real quick recap. Step 1 is intermittent fasting, a 16 and 8 time-based eating schedule. Step 2 is consuming more chlorogenic acid. Now, where you get that chlorogenic acid from is entirely up to you. It's one of the most abundant polyphenols on earth. I do choose a supplement to help with that. I'm always looking for other sources as well, though. So, okay, we are ready. Quite a few people saying they are ready. Okay, so with that being said, step 3 of the protocol is increasing your fiber. Now, in the United States, it's estimated that 93% of us don't get our recommended daily intake of fiber. That is 95% of men and 91% of women don't get the recommended daily intake of fiber. Now, I'm going to throw out a statement here, and maybe you've heard it before. A diet adequate in fiber drastically reduces your risk for heart disease, stroke, and type 2 diabetes. Maybe you've heard that, maybe you haven't, but why? Why would a diet adequate in fiber drastically reduce your risk for heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes? Well, it's because fiber helps your body naturally regulate its glucose levels. And that is key, right? You're right now, if you're listening to me, you're trying to figure out a way to naturally regulate your glucose levels. Well, fiber is key there. So let's talk about fiber. There are 2 categories of fiber. There is soluble fiber and insoluble fiber. Now, soluble fiber dissolves in water. Insoluble fiber does not. I like to use quinoa as an example of insoluble fiber. Maybe you've heard of quinoa, Quinoa. I don't know how they get quinoa from that, but quinoa. Now, quinoa, it's a whole grain that you can boil to tenderness and season, and it's real popular throughout like the Mediterranean diet and that sort of thing. It is a whole grain insoluble fiber. When you eat quinoa and then the next morning when you poop it out, it looks the same. It has not changed in size or shape. It looks the same. What is quinoa doing? That insoluble fiber is going through your gut tract like a roto-rooter. It is getting rid of all of the things that your body is not going to use and disposing of them properly. Now, soluble fiber is the opposite. It does dissolve in water, and it forms this thick, sticky, fibrous kind of matrix. Now, is that like corn? There you go, right? It kind of just goes out the other side. So, and if you, by the way, are listening to me from the United Kingdom, which I think a number of people are listening to me from the United Kingdom, their corn is different than our corn in the United States, right? Corn is a grain. She's talking about corn being, well, I don't even know how to describe it. Maize, M-A-Z-E, right? Anyway, okay, so soluble fiber dissolves in water and it forms this thick, sticky matrix that goes throughout your gut tract. And what it does is really slows down your body's ability to process the carbohydrate. When you consume that carbohydrate, your body converts it to glucose, right? Now, if there is no fiber in that food, your body will convert it to glucose quick and your blood sugar will spike high. It'll be a quick and high glucose response, right? Things like white bread, white rice. There is no fiber in there, so it will spike your glucose high and fast. Now, what does that do to your insulin? The same thing. It spikes your insulin quick and fast. Now, it takes 6 or more hours, according to Dr. Ben Bickman, to lower your insulin. So if that is the case, if it takes 6 or more hours, we don't want to do that, right? We want to add fiber. If you add fiber, it will slow down your body's ability to process the carbohydrate. And as it does that, instead of getting a quick high spike, we'll get a slow gradual climb. And what does that do to your insulin? Of course, you get a slow gradual climb with your insulin. That is key. That's what we're trying to do. Now, why are 93% of Americans not getting the recommended daily intake of fiber? Let's look to highly processed foods and ultra highly processed foods. Avoid them. If you go and get a box of macaroni and cheese and look at the nutritional information, look at the amount of fiber in it. It's probably a big old fat goose egg, right? And if you go get a bag of potato chips, chances are it's a big old fat goose egg. In fact, Dr. Ben Bickman has a great way to identify this. If the food comes in a box or a bag and has a barcode, it's probably highly processed and we should avoid it. Now, those foods don't have any fiber. Now, why would they take the fiber out of the food? That's a business decision. If you are in the business like Charles William Post of selling more food, right? Fiber is satiating. It makes you feel full. If you're trying to sell product that people consume, do you want them full all the time, or would you like them a little more hungry all the time? If they're always hungry, they will come back more frequently and spend more money. Line your pockets, right? Put more money into the cash register. In addition to that, fiber spoils. Right now, I mentioned 93% of Americans don't get the recommended daily intake of fiber. You should be getting somewhere between 25 and 38 grams of fiber per day. And that's a raw estimate, right? But the low end of that is maybe a petite young woman versus a strapping young man, right? Where you're at in that, the national average is somewhere around 14 to 15 grams per day. So we're not getting nearly enough. We're at 40 to 50% of our recommended daily intake on average. An avocado has 14 grams of fiber in a single avocado. What is the shelf life of an avocado? About a week, maybe. Now you can extend it, you can freeze it, you can put it in water in your fridge, but really what is the shelf life of an avocado sitting in the bin at the grocery store? A week? And what happens when it spoils? They have to throw it away. If you're in the business of selling things, that is costly, that is waste. If you strip the fiber, what happens? You get to keep it for really long periods of time. So you have people coming back more frequently to buy products that you don't have to throw away as often. It's a business decision. Now, if we're going to avoid foods that are boxed, bagged, barcoded, what should we buy? Shop the outer aisles of the grocery store, the produce section. There is a lot of fiber in the produce section. Go over to the produce section and get a wide variety of fruits and vegetables. When you're at the fruit counter, let's stick to skin on, less sweet. So things like where we can consume the skin, like an apple or a strawberry or a blueberry or a blackberry. We're going to be in moderation with the fruits, but if we're going to eat a fruit, let's stick to the skin on ones. There's a lot of polyphenols. Remember, chlorogenic acid is a polyphenol. There's a lot of polyphenols in the skin of the fruit. There's also a lot of fiber there as well. Let's minimize the skin off fruit. So things like an orange or a banana, right? And if you're a type 2 diabetic and you're listening to me right now, what happens to your blood glucose when you eat an orange or a banana? It spikes. Skin off fruit. That's ones where we take the skin off of the fruit and we eat it. Okay. What about fruit in the bag? It's going to depend on what type of fruit we're talking about. Great question, Fish Hawk. What about fruit in the bag? Are we talking about little oranges or little mandarin oranges or something like that? Or are we talking about, and furthermore, what's the matter with just eating an apple or a handful of blackberries? I might just say, what's the matter with getting blackberries and eating a handful of blackberries. To that point right here, some strawberries, right? What's the matter with just having a couple strawberries? Okay, so I might say just have the fruit. Why does it have to be blended or mashed or something? What's the matter with just eating the fruit? Go over to the vegetable section and do the same thing. Get a wide variety of vegetables. And in the vegetable section, we're going to get a wide variety of leafy ones, cruciferous ones. Cruciferous vegetables are things like broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts. There is kind of a rule of thumb that you want to stick to the green ones and avoid the white ones. Cauliflower might be an exception to that, as avocados might be an exception to the skin on fruit, right? We want to try and avoid skin off fruits. Avocado is clearly an exception to that. We want to we have 5 avocados a day. They will not hurt you. So there are exceptions to the rule, but just as a guideline, okay? In the vegetable section, we want to stick to above ground, less starchy. So we're going to try and avoid foods that are grown below ground and are starchy, things like potatoes. There is virtually no fiber in a cooked potato. They are generally higher in the glycemic index. They will cause your glucose to spike higher and faster than foods that are lower in the glycemic index. So let's generally avoid those. Let's stick to above ground, less starchy. And of course, then again, there are exceptions to that. A carrot, a raw carrot is low in the glycemic index. A cooked carrot is not. So avoid cooked carrots, enjoy raw carrots. But let's cut back on the potato thing. And I bet you, as people are listening to me right now, we've got 40 on TikTok, we've got 16 on Twitter. I wish I could see Twitter's comments and YouTube. We got a couple, we got Twitch. I would imagine that most people have a thing with potatoes. And KB Good asks this question: how about sweet potatoes? I get that question all the time, and I would love to dive into that. It's a great question because we've been taught, here it is again, user 5863 wants to know about sweet potatoes. I always get asked that question. So let's dive into sweet potatoes a little bit. And actually, I love the question because it illustrates, it gives me a pathway into the glycemic index. How many people are familiar with the glycemic index? If you are, I know, right, Tracy? How many people are familiar with the glycemic index? Say yes if you've heard of the glycemic, and in fact, say no if you haven't heard of the glycemic index. I'm going to do a quick recap of what the glycemic index is, and that will kind of tie into my answer with the sweet potato, okay? So Robert says yes, he's familiar with the glycemic index. Michelle says yes. User Barbara says yes. Okay, so a lot of people are familiar with it, but for the people who aren't, real quick, let's go to, let's see, where am I at? Right here. Share this tab right here. Oops, dang it, I don't like the way that it does that. Like that. Okay. This right here, folks, this is the Mayo Clinic, mayoclinic.org. And this little write-up is about the glycemic index. What's behind the claims? Okay, the glycemic index ranks food on a scale from 0 to 100. The low end of the scale has foods that have little effect on blood sugar levels. The high end of the scale has foods with a big effect on blood sugar levels. So if we know that spiking our glucose causes spiking our insulin, we want to avoid foods that are high in the glycemic index. Okay, we want to gravitate towards foods that are low. They have little effect on our glucose. So let's look at what are glycemic index ranges. Low is from 1 to 55. Medium is 56 to 69, and high is 70 or above. We want to strongly avoid foods that are high. We want to kind of stay away from foods that are medium, and we want to gravitate towards foods that are low. I hope this is making sense as to why we're talking about this. What are some examples of foods that are high? White rice, white bread, and potatoes. Okay? Potatoes are high in the glycemic index. What are foods that are low? Green vegetables, most fruits, raw carrots. I mentioned raw, right? Raw carrots, kidney beans, chickpeas, lentils. Those are the foods we want to gravitate towards. We want to avoid foods, white rice, white bread, potatoes. And I would ask, how many of us, just a quick little poll, type the word me if you would agree that your diet is high in foods that are high in the glycemic index. Just a quick poll, type me if you would generally say that your food is high in those foods. Now, this is going to tie over to, let me find the paper here real quick, sweet potatoes. What is the glycemic index of sweet potatoes? I just went to Google and typed in, what is the glycemic index of sweet potatoes? Boy, a lot of people saying me, right? Okay. What is the glycemic index of sweet potatoes? And again, they're going to point out low is 55 or less, medium is 56 to 69, and high is 70 or above. We want to avoid high. Just keep 70 or above in the back of your head. What if we boil a sweet potato? Well, for example, when boiled for 30 minutes, sweet potatoes have a glycemic index value of about 46. Now, again, that's low. 46 is beautiful. If you boil a sweet potato for 30 minutes, it is low all day long. Do that. But when boiled for just 8 minutes, they have a glycemic index of 61, which is medium on the glycemic index. Not so good. It's not awful, but it's not so good. It's medium. We want to avoid foods that are medium, right? So boiling it for 30 minutes is a wonderful solution. How many people roast their sweet potatoes? How many of you roast your sweet potatoes? Give me an I do. I'm looking at the comments here. I've got my iPad, by the way, because I'm only able to see my screen. I do, Barbara says. Carrie says, me. Okay. Okay, here we go. A lot of people are saying you roast your sweet potatoes. Well, sweet potatoes that have been peeled and roasted have a glycemic index of 82. That is high. Guys, roasted sweet potatoes, not so good. How about baked? How many people bake your sweet potato? I bet you there's the most number of people bake their sweet potato because that's what we've been taught is good, right? Baked sweet potato. Well, baked for 45 minutes, they have a glycemic index of 94. 94. Remember, according to the Mayo Clinic, we're just going to go to theirs. The glycemic index ranks food on a scale from 0 to 100. That's 0 to 100. Baked 45 minutes, 94. And then finally, how many of us go to the restaurant and order fried sweet potatoes in lieu of French fries? Because a sweet potato is healthier than a French fry. And by the way, don't kill the messenger. I'm not the bad guy. I'm just showing you what this article says. But how many of you have fried sweet potatoes in lieu of a French fry, right? Well, fried, they have a glycemic index of about 76. You don't want to hear it, Carrie? Okay. So what this does, and here's a question. What about microwaved? What are we going to put microwaved into? Roasted or baked? I don't know. I would call that baked, maybe. Probably not good. Okay. So what I like about that is it illustrates, it really illustrates the power of the cooking method, right? And so when I say a raw carrot has a low glycemic index and a cooked carrot does not, the way that you prepare the food changes the glycemic index of it, okay? And truthfully, things that you add to the food could modify the glycemic index as well. If you add fiber to your food, you could adjust the glycemic index. Kind of making sense? So we need to boil. If you're going to have them, boil them. Barbara, is everybody with me on this? Everybody kind of... Okay. Interestingly enough, I'm gonna jump off onto something else real quick. I'm going to ask the question: what would happen to the American Diabetes Association if we got rid of type 2 diabetes? What would happen? User 5863, I'm drinking the tea, the same tea that I talked about earlier. Kat, that's a great, I love this. Kat says, try to think of keeping the food in its most natural form. The more you do to it, the worse it gets. That is wonderful, Kat. I can't agree more, right? Okay, what happens to the American Diabetes Association if we all changed our diet? What if we understand that, hey, type 2 diabetes could be reversed by just eating the right foods? What would happen to the American Diabetes Association if we just ate the right foods? I'm going to put these up here. Kat said they plummets. Plummets, right? Barbara, they would go bankrupt. 8274, they lose profit. Carrie says they would go broke. We can. Are you guys suggesting that the American Diabetes Association is a business? Because they say on their website they're not for profit, right? Are you suggesting that they are a business? No. Okay, so what if we went to the American Diabetes Association and downloaded their food guide? You ready for this? This is from the American Diabetes Association, Diabetes Food Hub. It's diabetesfoodhub.org, and I found this little recipe: turkey chili stuffed sweet potatoes. What do you suppose that thing looks like, right? How about that? Anybody want to tell me what that looks like? If we scroll down, preheat the oven to 400 degrees, prick the skins of the potatoes, and place on a baking sheet. Bake for 60 minutes. Bake your sweet potato for 60 minutes. Now, if a baked sweet potato was high in the glycemic index, if a baked sweet potato was a 94 in the glycemic index, what's that going to do to your glucose? It's going to spike your glucose, and that's going to spike your insulin. Why would the American Diabetes Association want that? Why would they want to tell you to do that? How about this one here? You can go here, another recipe from the American Diabetes Association, Diabetes Food Hub, Marir Signando, and I'm sure I just butchered that. Marir Signando, orange cream dessert drink. That thing looks wonderful. I would drink that. I would enjoy this a lot. I find it interesting that there are 17 total carbohydrates and 16 of them are from total sugars. A type 2 diabetic can download this little dessert drink recipe from the American Diabetes Association that has 16 grams of sugars. And just because I wanted to know what Marir Signando said, I went over to Google and Googled, translate Marir Signando to die dreaming. If there isn't some irony in that, I think it's disgusting, to be honest. To die dreaming. Sir Ducks, does eggs increase cholesterol? Boy, that's the big question, right? How about the better question is cholesterol as bad as we've been taught to think that it is? What do people think about that little dab of information from the American Diabetes Association? Is anybody as frustrated with that as I am? Now, are there any questions about step 3 of the protocol, which is increasing your fiber? Does anybody have any questions about increasing your fiber? Anybody have any questions? I do have a supplement I want to talk about with fiber, but as with the tea, I don't ever recommend that anybody, I don't ever suggest that you have to buy anything, right? I hope that I've illustrated places that you can go and just pick whole foods, eat whole foods. Let's get away from GMO. Let's get away from steroids. Let's consider shopping local. There's a thought, right? Let's shop local. If you don't think that Kroger is part of the big food problem, you're wrong, right? I love Winn-Dixie down in Florida. But if you don't think they're part of the big food problem, you're wrong. So shop the outer aisles of the grocery store. Let's get away from GMO. Let's consider shopping local. Let's buy local fruit. Let's buy local vegetables. Let's buy, go to your butcher and support your local butcher. He's selling you food that's not injected full of steroids. With that being said, is anybody ready to talk about the supplement? If you're ready to talk about the supplement, type ready. Otherwise, please ask questions about step 3. And I can't see Twitter. I apologize for not being able to see any of the questions on Twitter. I can see people on Twitch and YouTube. A lot of people are saying ready on TikTok. Wonderful. Tracy, ready. Okay. Do you guys remember Rexall Pharmacy? Who remembers Rexall Pharmacy? Rexall Pharmacy was founded in 1902. In North America, they were at one point the largest pharmacy throughout North America. In fact, there were approximately 11,600 stores in North America. Now, in the United States, or in North America, there are currently about 13,000 McDonald's. So as frequently as you would see a McDonald's today, about as frequently as you would have seen a Rexall Pharmacy in its heyday. Now, they're pretty much obsolete in the United States. There are still some local locations here and there, still a few in Atlanta, New York, but they're not what they once were. They are still pretty prominent in Canada. You go to a Dollar General, you might find some products that are still manufactured by Rexall, but they're not what they once were. But in the 90s, in the late 80s, in fact, they developed a blend of fiber. And I say blend of fiber. If we know that we need a good variety of both soluble and insoluble fiber, we need both, right? To have our bodies naturally regulate its glucose. They did that. They put a blend of both soluble and insoluble fiber into this. Now, they also they understood that, hey, people need a multivitamin. Supplementation is kind of a big deal. People are taking multivitamins. What if we put the multivitamin into the fiber and you blend the fiber and the multivitamin together and you get what they dubbed a fiber and multivitamin combination therapy. Fiber and multivitamin combination therapy. The blend of fiber that they have has 5 patents on it. There are more than a dozen clinical validation studies that have been done on it. Clinical validation studies by places like the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, UNLV, Stanford. I want to talk about the Cleveland Clinic. Is there anybody listening to me who is a medical professional? And if you are a medical professional, if you would be so kind as just to say, I am. I am a medical professional. And if so, would you agree, just a yes or no, is the Cleveland Clinic the top heart hospital in the United States? And while we're doing that, I'm going to go here. I'm going to go to Google and just type into Google, what is the top heart hospital in the United States? And you will see, Google will say the Cleveland Clinic, right? So Tracy says, I am, and absolutely it is the top heart hospital in the United States. How many people are listening to me right now that are on a statin medication? That is a cholesterol-lowering medication, something like rosuvastatin or atorvastatin or simvastatin, Crestor, Lipitor, Zocor. Are you on one of those? And if so, type I am. Tracy says Mike dropped his. If you're on one of those, type I am. Robert says he is. Okay, and more than that, actually, how about if we say what the name of the one that you're on? Are you on rosuvastatin? Are you on atorvastatin? So I want to go to something that's called the PDR, the Prescriber's Digital Reference. maybe you've heard of the PDR, better as the physician's desk reference. So since 1956, I believe, the physician's desk reference has been published. Every year they put out a new one, and it's this thick book that you might have found on your doctor's desk, right? This doctor right here, this book, this is what your doctor goes to. They trust your doctor, your physician's assistant, your nurse practitioner, your nurse, right? Your pharmacist. They will go to the PDR. They trust the information in the PDR. This is where they will go to find out information about commonly prescribed medications, things like atorvastatin or rosuvastatin, something like that, right? Robert says atorvastatin. Now, what I want to know, let's talk about atorvastatin. The brand name for that is Lipitor, and I want to go to the PDR. And by the way, you have access to the PDR. Okay, this is pdr.net, prescriber's digital reference. It's part of the physician's desk reference suite of goods. It's the digital version of this book. Now, if you go to the PDR and you just type in Lipitor, which is the brand name for atorvastatin, it's going to search. It will find it. By the way, can everybody see my screen just fine? You'll see Lipitor, also known as atorvastatin calcium. Let's go here and let's look up the drug summary. And let's go to the adverse reactions, the severe adverse reactions. There's some nasty ones in here. Renal failure, pancreatitis, right? I mean, these are awful. Stroke, awful, right? But on the moderate adverse reactions, did you know that atorvastatin calcium has a moderate adverse reaction of diabetes mellitus? Did you know that? Atorvastatin. In fact, let's go look at Crestor. When you go to Crestor, that is known as rosuvastatin calcium. That's what I was on. I was on a maximum dose, 40 milligrams a day of rosuvastatin calcium. If you look at the summary on that one, you go down, you look at the adverse reactions. Again, renal failure, pancreatitis, a lot of the same things. But under the moderate adverse reaction, again, diabetes mellitus. If you go to Zocor, right? Let's look at Zocor, also known as simvastatin. You can go to the drug summary, scroll down to the adverse reactions. Again, renal failure, pancreatitis, they're always in here. But let's go to the moderate adverse reactions. This one you got to go a little bit further down, but diabetes mellitus. Were you aware of that? What does this, Lisa, let me come to this because that really is, so this has to do with what your odds are of it actually happening to you, right? So let's come over here to this little body of information right here, PubMed Central. This is your PubMed ID, PubMed Central ID, okay? Or your PubMed ID, whichever one you want to do. This was published online July 17 of last year, so it's not that old. And it's assessing the link between statins and insulin intolerance, a systematic review. Are statin medications causing insulin resistance? And of course, if you are insulin resistant, look at all these other things that are caused by insulin resistance. Are the statin medications, in fact, causing the root cause for all of those things? This right here, this study asked that question. And I want to read this real quick, okay? I'm just going to read this portion of the abstract. The included studies had a total of 46,728,889 participants. They looked at nearly 47 million people. The findings suggest that the use of statins is associated with a decrease in insulin sensitivity and insulin resistance. This systematic review provides evidence that the use of statins may have an adverse effect on insulin sensitivity and increase insulin resistance. These findings may have important clinical implications for individuals on statin therapy, especially those at risk of developing diabetes. We have proof that the very medications that you're taking are causing insulin resistance. Now, furthermore, this is another study, Statins and the Risk of Type 2 Diabetes, Mechanism and Clinical Implications. There's your PubMed ID for this one, 37795336, PubMed Central. And I want to scroll down here. This one's a little ways down, but I'll read this one here. And what I'm getting at, it'll make sense here in just a moment. Let's see. Under this, coming up. Here we go. Ow. In a meta-analysis of 15 observational studies, the risk of incident type 2 diabetes was 55%. That is an enormous number. In 4 individual studies, the risk of incident type 2 diabetes was from 36 to 48%. And in the U.S. veteran study, 21 to 22% for low and medium potency statins like pravastatin and fluvastatin, and 34% for high potency statins like simvastatin, atorvastatin, and rosuvastatin. This study right here, I want to point out, was published online September 19th of last year. So we have proof that statin medications are causing insulin resistance. They are causing diabetes. In fact, I want to play a video from Dr. Ben Bickman. This is again in my video library. Don't listen to me. Listen to Dr. Ben Bickman. Here he goes.
Cholesterol is a molecule of life. Despite our general societal fear of it, it is involved in countless processes within every cell of the body. Unfortunately, our fear or hatred of cholesterol has given rise to the use of statins, which is a general class of medication that acts to inhibit the body's ability to create cholesterol. Well, that is a good way, a statin, to lower your cholesterol. There are consequences to this. Here's a manuscript that was just published in the European Journal of Pharmacology, and it outlines the evidence implicating statins as a molecule or a drug that increases the risk of insulin resistance and therefore type 2 diabetes. Ironically, insulin resistance is a greater predictor and risk factor for heart disease than LDL cholesterol is. So tragically, and again, ironically, despite lowering cholesterol levels, by increasing insulin resistance, we may be making the problem even worse.
How about that? So again, how many people are on a statin medication? Now, I'm going to bring this full circle. I was talking about a product that Rexall Pharmacy developed more than 30 years ago. Okay, 35 years it's been on the market. And we're going to start with this right here. What is the top heart hospital in the United States? And they're going to say, Google will say, the Cleveland Clinic. Okay, now, why do I bring that up? Because the Cleveland Clinic studied a fiber and multivitamin combination therapy. They studied this product. They looked at this product from Rexall Pharmacy, truthfully, more than 20 years ago. This study was published in 2002. It's from the Preventative Cardiology section of the Cleveland Clinic Foundation, submitted November 15, 2001, accepted February 14, 2002. This is more than 20 years old. Fiber and multivitamin combination therapy. And what they found, this is pretty fascinating. They found that compared to the placebo group, this product improved every category. It improved LDL cholesterol. It improved total cholesterol. It improved HDL cholesterol. It improved triglycerides. It improved body weight, overall body weight. It improved glucose, ApoB. You name it, it improved every single category. And they would conclude, Such a product, if taken regularly, could reduce cardiovascular risk on a population basis and potentially decrease the need and or dose for lipid-lowering prescription drugs. The top heart hospital in the United States, in North America, suggested more than 20 years ago that that product from Rexall Pharmacy could potentially decrease the need and or dose for statins, guys. And we listened to the top heart hospital. And how many times have we heard, at least in the last 5 years, listen to the science? What is I talked earlier about the glycemic index. Remember talking about the glycemic index? I went to the Mayo Clinic to get their definition of it. Who is the home of the glycemic index? The International Glycemic Index database and website are led by Professor Jenny Brand-Miller at the University of Sydney, Australia. I want you to listen to that name. The International Glycemic Index database and website are led by Professor Jenny Brand-Miller at the University of Sydney, Australia. If you go to glycemicindex.com, it takes you to the University of Sydney. If you hit the About page for the University of Sydney, it promptly talks about Professor Jenny Brand-Miller. She is a doctor. She is an internationally recognized authority on carbohydrates and the glycemic index with over 250 scientific publications. Again, trust the science. Oops, I didn't share that page. Here, I just started sharing that page. I forgot to. This is the University of Sydney, Australia. This is that write-up I just quoted. Professor Jenny Brand-Miller is an internationally recognized authority on carbohydrates and the glycemic index with over 250 scientific publications. Why do I bring her up? Because Dr. Jenny Brand-Miller, while at the University of Sydney, Australia, studied that same product, and she found that it lowered the glycemic as well as the insulin index for all three test foods, namely white bread, white rice, and mashed potato. It lowered the glycemic index for all three of those from high to medium in all three cases. Now, she studied it a second time, and in this case, she found that it lowered blood glucose by 20 to 28% and blood insulin levels by 28%. I would like to point out Dr. Ben Bikman. This guy right here, Dr. Ben Bikman. Oops, let me change the screen. That guy right there, Dr. Ben Bikman, is the director of the scientific advisory board for this company. He's the director of the scientific advisory board. We have clinical validation, we have scientific validation, and then there is social validation. I've reversed my type 2 diabetes. I'm no longer on my cholesterol medication. I'm no longer on my blood pressure medication. There are people who are in the comment section right now who would say the same. So is there anybody, I guess, let me jump into something real quick. I will say these products come together as a kit. You would get them together as a kit. It's a 30-day supply. That kit in the United States costs $154 per month. That's about $5 per day. You can't get through the Starbucks coffee place for $5. You can't get through the McDonald's drive-thru place for $5. You can't get a bag of chips and soda at the gas station for $5. This product has the clinical and science validation as well as the social validation. They guarantee your money for 90 days. If after 90 days of using their product, you're not satisfied, ask them for all of your money back. They will give you all of your money back. There's nothing to lose whatsoever. They're giving you effectively a 90-day free trial. If at 90 days it doesn't work, you're not happy with it, they'll give you all of your money back. So with that being said, is there anybody that's interested in the product? If you are interested in how to buy the product, type the word interested. I said at the end of the live stream, I would talk about how to buy it for those that were interested. So if there's anybody who is interested in how to buy the product, type the word interested, and I will jump over to how you buy it and where to buy it and all that sort of stuff. Okay, Robert says interested, or yes, he typed yes. I'm assuming that has to do with interested. Okay, correction right there. Interested, okay. And again, I can't see the people on Twitter. So if you're saying interested on Twitter, here we'll jump over to that, okay? Okay, so on every social media platform that I have, whether you're watching me on Twitter or you're watching me on Facebook or YouTube or TikTok, it doesn't really matter. Whatever platform you're on, first off, give me a follow. If you found this, if you have found this to be valuable information, if you feel like this is information that should be shared, then do me a favor and give me a like or a follow. Give me a follow on whatever platform you're on. Let's just start there. Give me a follow and then click the bell notification to let you know when I go live, because I do a live stream every single day. So with that being said, in every single profile I have, whether you're on TikTok, whether you're on Twitter or Twitch or YouTube or Facebook, all of them, I have a profile. The profile reads exactly the same, okay? That profile reads something like, I used to be, I fought the Grim Reaper and won. This is my story. In there is a link tree. That link tree is my link tree. The very first link in there is the manufacturer's website, okay? You're buying it. You're using my wife and I's referral code as a lifetime discount. Let me go ahead and show that. I will do this. I'm going to go to my TikTok. Can you guys all see my TikTok screen right now? And I'm just going to pick on my TikTok. So this is my home screen on TikTok, and you'll see I'm a competitive barbecue cook who fought the Grim Reaper and won. This is my story. That's the exact same bio in every one of my social media platforms. If you find that, you're close on every single one. There is this Linktree/The Healthy Pitmaster. Click on that. The very first link you come across, oh, dang it. Oh, no, I'm doing right. The very first link you come across is the Unicity Field Grade System. That is what I'm talking about, is the Unicity Field Grade System. If you click that, that will take you to the home page. You will see you're referred by Jim and Amanda Grasser. That is me and my wife. You're using our referral code to get a lifetime discount to Unicity, the manufacturer, okay? Buy now. If you click the buy now, it's a pretty typical online checkout system. Scroll down a little further, you'll see the products. The tea is called Unimate. The fiber is called Balance. Now, I had somebody today who in Singapore, the product actually is available in Singapore. In fact, my link works in 30 different countries around the world. The products are available in almost 60 countries around the world. However, in places like Singapore, Malaysia, it's called BIOS Life. So if you should see BIOS Life instead of Balance, they are synonymous with each other. Okay. If you scroll down, oh, and if you wanted to, you could hit Learn More. If you click the Learn More, that'll show you the ingredients on the product. That will show you the nutritional information, all of that. If you scroll down to the very bottom of that page, you will see a science link. If you click that science link, that will take you to unicityscience.org. Somebody just asked, where can you get that published research? Go to the research tab of unicityscience.org, and you'll find all of the clinical validation studies. You can scroll down and find all of them. There are more than a dozen clinical validation studies on these products. Just scroll down. This one right here, fiber multivitamin combination therapy. If you hit see full study, this one is the one from the Cleveland Clinic. If you scroll down a little further, this is one of the two studies done by the University of Sydney. The second one is at the very bottom. The effects of a fiber-rich nutritional supplement, BIOS Life Slim. Going back to the very top, if we hit Science team, you'll hit the About Us. You will find that this is a science-based company putting out a food-based product. There are 3 PhD level doctorates in their research and development staff. And then they have a scientific advisory board. Unicity collaborates with a team of well-respected and world-renowned scientists, medical professionals, and experts known as the Unicity Scientific Advisory Board. The Unicity Advisory Board advises and educates on Unicity products and the latest scientific developments related to nutrition. The director of the Unicity Scientific Advisory Board is Dr. Benjamin Bickman. I think that is a wickedly powerful statement. Dr. Ben Bickman is the director of the Unicity Scientific Advisory Board. Now, furthermore, one other thing, I did talk about the PDR. Okay, we were over here at the PDR. Oftentimes, the product gets compared to something like Metamucil. If we search for Metamucil, there are no products found. The reason their Metamucil is not in the PDR is because there's no clinical validation studies on it. To get into the PDR, you have to have had some sort of scientific proof. Some might say, well, you could just buy your way in. Well, Metamucil is owned by Procter & Gamble. They had $82 billion in revenue last year. If buying your way into the PDR was all you had to do, well, the Metamucil would be in there. The reason I bring this up is if you type in Unicity, you will find 19 different instances of their product in the PDR, including Balance. If you click on Balance, you can hit prescribing info, the full prescribing info, and then the highlights, also known as BIOS Life. I mentioned that in other markets, it's known as BIOS Life. In other markets, it's called BIOS Life. But you can find out, oftentimes people ask, can I take this with my current medications? Absolutely. In fact, I never recommend anybody quits taking their medications without first consulting their doctor. But if you go to other products, they will always tell you, like, hey, you know, the products that it may act poorly with. Nothing in the PDR acts poorly with Unicity Balance. They also have Unimate in there, which is the tea that I'm drinking. You can find that in there. Again, prescribing info, full prescribing info, highlights, Unimate. Here it is right here. Now, a couple of things real quick. Let's see. What's up, Jim Nye? Okay, guys. Getting caught up. What up, Michelle? I just saw a study that those fibers don't work. Lisa, which one? Which study are you talking about, Lisa? Are you talking about the fibers on Balance, that Balance doesn't work? Because there's actually new research that suggests that it's even more effective than the fiber studies that Dr. Jenny Brand Miller herself did. Okay, guys, so that kind of concludes the live stream. Wide open for questions now. What questions do you all have for me? And these questions can be about my diet. They can be anything. No, those on the shelf ones, right? That are, yeah, right. Lisa, okay. So no, you're saying that the ones that you saw on Metamucil and that sort of thing. And I'm not bashing Metamucil. I just oftentimes it gets compared to Metamucil, and that really is quite disingenuous because there is no clinical validation study. And in fact, guess what I have, guys? I decided I would do this today. Oh, I've got it here. I was prepared. Guess what I have? I've got some Metamucil. Let's do a little bit of fun. Let's have a little bit of fun. So Metamucil, on the back, it says, put 1 to 2 rounded teaspoons in an empty glass, mix briskly with 8 ounces or more of cool liquid, drink promptly and enjoy. So 1 to 2 rounded tablespoons. Are we going to do 1 or 2 rounded tablespoons in 8 ounces of water? Do you guys want me to do 1 or 2? Just type the number 1 or 2. And let's just go ahead and mix it up, because sometimes, well, watching something is better than anything, right? 2. Lisa says 2. I'm going to set up a second camera while we're doing this. The second one is going to be FaceTime. Okay, let's go like this. There we go. Okay, now what am I going to do? I'm going to point this down to here. Yeah, that's what we'll do. I like that. Let me figure out, you know what? Give me a second. I've got this little stand that I can put on one of my cameras. I'm going to turn on double vision here. And what I'm going to do is put a camera on this so that you can watch all along. I'm sorry if I'm making anybody dizzy. Okay, so let's go right here. Everybody can see that, right? Actually, I want to move it kind of. Let's move it elsewhere. And it looks like it's overwhelmingly 2 tablespoons. Overwhelming. Okay, so let's go here. And we're going to do 2 tablespoons. Okay, you guys can see that good? Okay, now this, actually, I'll do it right here. You guys can see right in front of me on camera 1, right? I guess it's now camera 2. We've decided on 2 rounded, right? So here, I'm going to ask you guys, is that rounded? Would everybody agree that that's rounded? I want this to be as, we're going to call that rounded. Just give me a yes or no. Yes. Carrie says yes. Okay. So there's 1. Let's go with a similar rounded 2. Okay. Now, let's go like this. I've got a little frother. By the way, if you order from Unicity, they will send you one of these little frothers. It's pretty cool. Let's just use that real quick and let's froth this thing up. There we go. Okay. All right. There is the Metamucil. And that is, by the way, in 8 ounces of water. Balance is technically 300 milliliters of water. And Balance comes in this little packet, so there's no measuring. You just take this. I'm going to shake it up to get it all on one end. There's a little tear line here. You can see the tear line. I'm just going to tear that right there, and we will dump it into the water. Again, it's about 300 milliliters of water for Balance, and we'll mix that up. There we go. Okay. Both of them mixed per their instructions. I'm going to scoot this back just a touch, make it so that everybody can always see it. Okay, there we go. And let's see. What's up, Brittany Zedick? How are you? Okay, Siri, set a timer for 15 minutes. Hey, Siri, set a timer for 15 minutes.
15 minutes starting now.
Okay, so there we go. In 15 minutes, I will do something with this, and it'll be a great visual. What's up, Brittany Zedick? How are you? Okay, guys, so let's go to questions. What questions have we got? And you'll be able to watch these so you can see that I'm not tampering with them at all. You can see my little mouse here. What questions have we got? It is rad, isn't it? Zedek, how are you, Brittany? You look wonderful as well, Brittany. Always. I guess I should start off with, is there anybody who wants to buy the product but does not know how to? And if that is you, then type the word help. If you type the word help, I'll know exactly what you are talking about. Type the word help and I'll know exactly. Wondering, I walked away, maybe answered, do you drink 2 teas a day? Great question, Carrie. Carrie asked, I walked away, maybe answered, do you drink 2 teas a day? I'm actually on my 3rd and 4th tea right now because that's how I roll. I always start off my morning, and that's a great question, by the way. I always start off my morning with one of the lemon or lemon ginger or apple spice teas. If you like apple cider, apple spice is delicious. It's a limited time flavor. The lemon tea is probably my favorite. I do like lemon ginger. I don't recommend it for most people for their first order, just because ginger has that little bit of a bite, right? That ginger bite that's so familiar to so many people, a little bit of a spice maybe. If you don't like that, you're probably not going to enjoy the lemon ginger. The lemon seems to go over well for everybody. So I recommend the lemon. I always start off with a hot lemon ginger, apple spice. I kind of change it by day. Now, when I say hot, I have an electric kettle on my counter, and I just heat that thing up to like coffee type temperature, right? Whatever that hot is, I heat it up to that, and I pour it into a Yeti tumbler mug that I have. Not near me right now. I have a Yeti tumbler mug, and about 24 ounces, and I sip on that, and it'll take me about 3 hours to sip on it. Now, the second drink that I have is nearly always what they call a black and salted caramel. If you have a little bit of a sweet tooth, black and salted caramel is incredible. Now, black is merely another flavor of Unimate. It is available for purchase with your kit. I really don't recommend anybody buys that. It is not black tea. It's flavored with coffee. It tastes like black coffee. If you don't like black coffee, which I have come to realize that most type 2 diabetics have to have sugar in their coffee, right? You're not going to like black. The Unimate Black is the same exact thing. It's just flavored with black coffee. Now, Dr. Ben Bickman helped develop Unimate Fuel. This is Unimate tea. Well, Unimate Fuel is the same yerba mate extract, but it's infused with MCT oil, medium chain triglycerides. Now, most people in the world will say that MCT oil is absolutely wonderful for us. It forces our bodies into a state of ketosis. It's amazing. Your thought process is crisp when you're on MCT oil. Now, they've got one of their Unimate fuels is flavored like salted caramel. If you like that salted caramel sweet tooth, Unimate Fuel is excellent. It's the same Unimate infused with MCT oil and flavored like salted caramel. When you put salted caramel fuel with the Unimate Black, it tastes like a Frappuccino. If you like that Starbucks Frappuccino thing, that's what this tastes like. I make it at night. I put it in my fridge. It sits overnight, so it's ready for me the next morning. It's cold. It's chilled. And I love the way that it tastes. In fact, I really like the salt, so much so that I add an extra like half teaspoon or so of Celtic salt to it, because Celtic salt is absolutely wonderful for us. So I drink one of these always after I've had my first drink. Now, I say that I'm on my second and third one right now. Well, it's got a Unimate Black and a Unimate Fuel. So there are really 2 Unimates in this 1 liter bottle. So I'm on my second and third one right now. Let's see, benefits of multiple. I love the question. Let me see. Let me go in order here. Let's see. What do you take of the product when you first start the product? Carrie, I don't know that I'm totally understanding. What do you take of the product when you first start the product? Carrie, I want to answer your question. I don't totally understand what you're asking me there. Would you reword that for me? And I will definitely try and attack it again. Carrie, what are the benefits of multiple? Well, if a single Unimate increases your own GLP-1 production by up to 70%, what do 2 do? What do 3 do? Benefits of multiple are wonderful. It helps extend your fast. I think that people who are on Unimate, they're sipping on the Unimate, they just love the way that they feel when they're on it. In fact, people are always asking, I want more. Okay, so it's just a better choice than something like a soda. That's why, lots of benefits, but personally, I just like the way that I feel when I drink it. Jen asks, do you make you feel nauseated? Not at all, Jen, not at all. You will feel amazing when you're drinking your Unimate. And don't just listen to me. In fact, anybody who's listening right now that is drinking Unimate on a regular basis, would you please answer Jan with your own personal experience? And let's let Jan hear from the people that are currently drinking Unimate and tell her what you feel about it. User 9763, do you drink the tea during your fasting time or during your eating window? Both. Most people will wake up and it's the first thing they do. I used to drink a pot of coffee per day. There's no problem with coffee. You can continue to drink coffee. I oftentimes get asked that question. I don't drink coffee anymore. I did go buy some coffee actually today. It's sitting on my countertop right there. I didn't even take a sip of it. I bought it. I took my daughter. She wanted to go through our Ziggy's coffee shop, and I bought it. I had my hot Unimate, and then I never drank from it. I brought it into the house, and it's sitting literally right in front of me. I kind of accidentally quit drinking coffee. You don't have to do that. You can drink all the coffee you want. I just kind of accidentally quit. With that being said, most people wake up and it's the first thing they go to, and they sip on it throughout the morning. And I want to really emphasize sip on it. When you order, you'll get a little half-liter bottle, and it's got a Unimate line on it. That's just a guide. You don't have to adhere to that. You can use a bigger cup with more water. You can drink it hot or cold. I prefer to drink it hot because it kind of forces me to sip it rather than chug it. I hope that answers your question. And then I transition right away just into the second one as I'm doing right now. It is 12:15 in Denver, Colorado. I could break my fast right now if I wanted, but I am drinking the Unimate and I don't feel hungry, so I'm just going to go ahead and extend my fast. Carrie says yum, and it is absolutely yum. And yes, I drink this all day long. Interesting little side note as well. A lot of people may be caffeine sensitive. There is about the equivalent of 1 cup of coffee's worth of caffeine in each packet. So you're getting a lot of chlorogenic acid without a whole lot of caffeine. People that are caffeine sensitive, myself included, I used to have a rule that I would not drink caffeine after 2 o'clock in the afternoon. If I had caffeine after 2 o'clock, it would keep me awake all night long. I would be awake until 2 in the morning. So I used to kind of cut off caffeine at 2 o'clock in the morning or in the afternoon. I don't really have that rule anymore just because I'll drink this all day long. That doesn't really affect my sleep. So I will eat it after I'm done eating. Lisa says, Jen, not at all. EMT, Elaine is her name. Tastes really good too. More energy, not hungry, sleep better. It's on her second one as well. The $150 kit, how much of each does it give you? You get a 30-day supply. And that's actually interesting. They're in the process of converting the kit. So you're going to get a 30-day supply. So it'll either, currently, it is 1 tea and 2 of the fiber. So existing subscribers are getting 30 teas and 60 fibers. Now, Dr. Ben Bickman's most recent research on the Unimate that suggests that it increases your GLP-1 by up to 70% during a fasted state. That is playing heavily into some decisions that are being made within Unicity. They've had an amazing success record with these two products, and they could just sit back on their laurels and not do anything else. They are a progressive, forward-thinking company, and understanding the research that Dr. Ben Bickman has done on this, they've decided to change the protocol. So in the coming days, weeks, something soon, they are going to convert to 60 of these and 30 of these. Both will be a 30-day kit. Currently, it's 30 teas, 60 balance. You drink a balance before each meal. But what they're going to convert to is 60 of the teas. Now, what that's really going to do is they're working off of the research that we have on GLP-1 and all of the wonderful benefits with GLP-1. So if you just kind of transition into a second one, as I'm doing right now, and I've really been doing for about a year anyway, you take that second one and you'll find yourself being able to extend a fast, as I'm doing right now. And when you do sit down to eat, you're not going to eat as much. It just reduces your appetite, as any GLP-1 receptor agonist will do. And then when you eat your heavier meal, you'll drink the balance. Now, there's some new research revolving around continuous glucose monitors, which I wear as well. I wear a CGM. That research is suggesting that if we drink the balance immediately before we eat, it'll reduce our blood glucose by 34% at 30 minutes and up to 37% at 45 minutes. Now, Dr. Jenny Brand Miller's research revolved around a 10 to 15 minute window. Drink this, wait 10 to 15 minutes, and you would get a 20% reduction overall in your blood glucose. So the new CGM data, the new research that revolves around that, suggests that actually drinking it immediately before you eat reduces the blood glucose that much faster. So the new protocol will be drink this right before you eat. What I really like about this is everybody already wants more of the tea. Once you're drinking it, you're going to love it. So the new protocol is just going to be 2 of these. It's still the same 2 great products, the same practice. We're just putting the emphasis on this one rather than this one. Same 2 products. Now, you'll transition into your second one of these, as I'm doing right now, and then before your heaviest meal of the day. If your heavier meal carb-wise is lunch, drink one of these right before that. If it's dinner, drink one of these right before that. If you would like to order additional fiber, you can do that just as right now with the current protocol. You can order extra tea. You can do the same thing there as well if you wanted to take 2 fibers per day, which truthfully, I'm probably going to continue doing as well. Okay, I hope that answered your question. 9763. Cash cows, no pun intended. I'll build on that, Sally. Let's see. Cakes, do you feel good after the first drink? Cakes, I feel absolutely wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. I don't know how to emphasize that enough. Okay, and I think oh, no, it didn't. Okay. I still have I thought my comments left again. Let's see. Tanya, I made the salted caramel and apple spice together cold today. It is so good. It's like a caramel apple, isn't it, Tanya? Okay, so Wendy Wu. Oh my goodness. Is this Wendy Wu from Colorado? There is a Wendy Wu in northern Colorado. And if that is you, Wendy Wu, I want you to know that I've actually downloaded your music. I've purchased your music. I love your music. And I'm not that far away from Wendy Wu if you're the musician Wendy Wu. If you're not that Wendy Wu, then that's just a really cool name. You mix 2 tea packets at a time and drink it hot. So good. My wife does the same thing. She drinks the lemon and the apple spice together every morning hot. She loves it. And she'll sip on it. She does that in like a 40-ounce tumbler, and it'll last her till like 2 o'clock. In fact, she's probably still got hers going. Lisa says 4 days in, tastes good, easy to take it on the go. Thank you for that, Lisa. I love the fact 4 days in. Cows and cotton. Okay, let me see here. I want to see if I can. Hey Siri, turn off the timer. Okay, we're ready for my little display. And Michelle, I will come back to you. Michelle, remind me to come back to you in this moment. Okay, are we ready for this? And should I turn off the second camera? I think I do. I want to turn off the second camera. Is that better? No, that's not a whole lot better. Second camera on or off? You guys tell me. Second camera on or off? La Unica, how are you? Let's see. Anybody? Anybody want to answer that? I guess I'll go with, Carrie says on. Okay, so what I've done, I've just got an empty wine glass. Okay, you can't taste this right here, but I'm going to pour it right in front of the camera. And you just watch the consistency of the pour. And you tell me if it seems appetizing. Okay? So, right here, there it is. Are we getting this in the camera? Okay. Can you guys see this well? Okay, tell me if this looks appetizing. What do you think? What do you think? Anybody like the way that looked? Nope. And you obviously can't taste it, but I'm curious if anybody thought that looked good. Okay, so, and you can see I'm kind of done with it now. I don't really need to keep it out, but I will. Might as well. Okay. Now on to balance. Okay, this is Unicity Balance. If you're in some other markets, you might hear it called BIOS Life. They are one and the same. Okay, here we go. This is balance. Look at that. By the way, if you order the balance, it tastes like, personally, I believe it tastes like an Orange Julius. Mountain Girl, that last plop got you, right? So, how about that? You guys have now seen it side by side. I like to do that little demonstration. I'm going to turn that second camera off. I'll turn this camera off, unless you guys want to stare at that. I don't know that really, I think the point's been made, right? But it's, okay, 5863 asks, same amount of soluble and insoluble fiber. So I want to be clear, Unicity has 5 separate patents on this product. I have no idea, and that's what they keep them under lock and key. They don't. This is like the Colonel Sanders formula. Nobody that they know what's in it. They've got patents on it to make sure that nobody else can rip it off. There are other companies that have tried to rip it off. They're trying to, but they don't come close. But I honestly don't have an answer for that, and that's because they've got it locked down. They've got patents on it. Okay, so I'm going to come back up. I'm going to go ahead and turn this camera off. Oops, not that one. A second camera. Let's do this. I was going to show some. Okay, let me see here. I know what I'll do. I've got plan B for testimonials. Let's go like this. Okay, so I'm going to go through testimonials. We're done with this, right? We're done with all the fiber displays. I can make some room on my counter. So here. And I'm done with these. All right. So what I want to do is take this camera off of its little stand. Okay. And I'm just going to use this camera like this. Okay, so here we go. Cows and Cotton wanted me to show her picture. So, this is Cows and Cotton. If you guys can see that image, well, that is Cows and Cotton. That is Michelle. And this, oh, you know, let me flip this camera around. Video settings. I'm going to mirror the image. Okay. So this is, yeah, okay. This is Michelle. This is Michelle when she started Feel Great System. She weighed approximately 300. Oh, I know what I just did. I did the wrong camera. Video settings. Mirror. There we go. That's why that seemed backwards. Video settings. I'll mirror this camera. Okay, there we go. Now it's the same way. So this is Michelle before. She weighed about 388 pounds. Okay. Oh, am I muted? Can you guys hear me? Can everybody hear me? Can everybody hear me before I go further? Okay. I'm sorry. All right. So this is Michelle. That is her before she started the system. She weighed about 388 pounds. This is Cows and Cotton. And I might be off by some weight, but I believe she said 388 pounds. This is her at 7 months. And if that right there isn't just amazing. So Michelle started by measuring her waist, her belly, her chest, and her neck. At 7 months, 67 inches in measurements came off of her body. 67 inches. Okay, and she's saying 400 even technically, okay? This is Cows and Cotton on TikTok, guys. That is amazing. 6 feet in measurements have come off of her. Am I frozen for everybody? So this is Michelle. This is Celeste. And by the way, if you think that this is amazing, then do me a favor and type "Wow, Michelle." I would like some encouragement. We are all about encouraging people here. So if you think that's amazing, do me a favor and type the word "Wow, Michelle." There it is. 5863 says, "Congratulations, Michelle." Okay. This is Celeste. Celeste found my live stream last year. Wow, look at all the wows coming in. Celeste last year. Celeste is down now like 77 pounds, I believe is her number. Okay. Let's see. What else? This one here. Lynette. Is Lynette in this? And by the way, if you think wow Celeste, type wow Celeste. This is Lynette. Lynette found me last year as well, and she sent me this text. "Hey, Jim, I have great news. Just saw my doctor today to review labs. My A1C is now 5.9, down from 7.0 before starting the system." Guys, 7.0 to 5.9 off of the system, right? After 4 weeks on the system, I went from 7 to 6.3 in 4 weeks. 7 to 6.3. I'm no longer diabetic. I'm officially pre-diabetic. I'm completely unmedicated. Thanks for all your support, Jim. How many people would love to be able to make that type of... I love receiving these texts. How many people would love to send me that text, right? Do you feel like you're helpless, you're hopeless? David's wonderful. He found me on TikTok as well. "Hey, 3-month check-in with you. My previous A1C was 8.3. It's now 6.3 after 3 months. My starting weight was 299. I'm down to 296. Now, that's actually a typo. He actually corrected it's 269. So he's down 30 pounds. I want to thank you. How about that, right? 8.3 to 6.3 in 3 months, 90 days. Another one of Michelle, just because this is ridiculous, is if the first picture of her wasn't enough, look at that picture. That doesn't even look like the same person. The inflammation is amazing. Tanya, you guys see Tanya in here. Tanya Lee. Tanya found me last year, and at the time, her triglycerides were 197, 116. Cholesterol went from 180 to 132. Her LDL from 111 to 79. Her A1C went to 5.5. Now, this is at 3 months on the system. I want to kind of point this out. She was fully medicated down to a 5.5. Tanya went off of her medications and is now a 5.6, completely unmedicated. And if you guys, I want to add to this, if you're not already following Cows and Cotton, you should be following Cows and Cotton. If you're not already following Tanya Lee, you should be following Tanya Lee. If you guys would be so kind as to just Cows and Cotton, Michelle type something and Tanya Lee type something. Okay, this is my good friend Jackie. A lot of people know Jackie. She's kind of TikTok famous. Jackie's down 124 pounds. This is my good friend James over in the United Kingdom. Our products are available in the United Kingdom. He's down 9 stone, 9 pound. Last time I checked, that's 135 pounds in the US. This is Ro. Guys, Ro is pretty TikTok famous. Everybody loves Ro. Ro, last year in March, Ro's A1C was in excess of 14. And I want to just make sure like that is loud and clear. When she went to her doctor and had her A1C pulled, it maxed out the equipment. Her A1C was over 14%. They couldn't get an actual reading. She could have been 14.1. She could have been a 23. We have no idea what she was. All it was her report said greater than 14. In 90 days, Ro's A1C was 5.9. More than that, in 37 days, her A1C was 7.5. Absolutely amazing. If you're not giving Ro a follow, and it's ddurham25, I don't know that Ro's in this live stream or not. If Ro is in here, if Ro's in here, type something hi or something like that. Hers is ddurham25. Okay. Henry Cook says, love the Feel Great system. 287 to 194. That is incredible. You haven't seen her yet this morning. Ro_reverse on TikTok. Okay. Thank you, Tanya. Okay. So I always talk about Dr. Ben Bickman and Dr. Jason Fung. This is Bickman's Facebook page. They both have Facebooks. They both have Instagrams. They both have Twitters. Give them a follow. They're both on YouTube, all over the place. Give them a follow. Yes, Carrie says, that's what added fiber will do. Way to go. Okay, love it, right, Carrie? Okay, let's see. This one is from Rochelle, another person who found me on TikTok. I wanted to wait until I went to the doctor to reach out. In July, her A1C was 15. She's at a 9. Now, she sent me this last September, so this was like 2.5 months. Big D, how are you, buddy? How are you? But in 2.5 months, tell me that's not incredible. This is Kevin. Kevin actually found my wife and then started following my live streams and got onto the system. These are his A1C or his glucose numbers. Those are beautiful. 97, 108, 98, 106. So this is how my blood sugars are running with 0 insulin, 0 metformin. The guy was on insulin therapy. His doctor had said he was an insulin-dependent type 2 diabetic. And look at that. That's without insulin. That's without metformin. Estella. We just call her Stella. Just saw my doctor and my A1C went from 8.6 to 6.6 thanks to your info on Unicity and thanks to being on Unicity system 3 months. 8.6 to 6.6. Big D commenting right now. A1C is down 8.7. Now it's 7.1 and dropping. That is incredible, Big D. I love that, brother. Love that. Let's see. Carmel. I love this one. Carmel, I don't know if Carmel's in this live stream. She's oftentimes in my live streams. Just had to tell you, I went to see my doctor for the first time since beginning the program, blah, 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 right? And it's a great read. I just want to get to the numbers. Glucose went from 148 to 100. Cholesterol from 313 to 153. Triglycerides from 342 to 99. A1C is now 6, which is pre-diabetic. She's reversed her type 2 diabetes. This is Tanya. I need a new picture of you, Tanya. This is Tanya in September. So from June 1st to September, you can just see the difference in her body shape. Look at the belly range. I mean, belly shrunk down, and she's even smaller today. This is my much better half, Amanda, my beautiful bride. She was gorgeous before. Doesn't even look like the same person after. This is yours truly. That's me before and me after. Janice, I don't know if Janice is in here or not. Janice before and after. My mother before and after. That doesn't even look like the same woman. My mother has reversed type 2 diabetes. My mother has also, oh boy, what all has my mom's done everything. She's reversed type 2 diabetes. She's off her cholesterol medications. Her blood pressure is normalized. She's reversed Graves' disease. Her Hashimoto's, her TSH score, thyroid stimulating hormone. Her TSH score is 1.409. In fact, that is right here. 1.409 is her TSH score. TSH is normal. Her TSI score, which is what they use to detect Graves' disease, is undetectable, which is consistent with remission from Graves' disease. Well, I mean, Kevin. I don't know if Kevin's still in here. I think I saw Kevin in here. Jim, I'll be going over to Memphis on the 3rd of August to get my blood work done and see what I've been able to do since I started cutting out sugar about a month ago. I was going to wait and share something with you at that time, but I just can't wait. The first picture is glucose readings taken 1 week before I started the protocol. The second picture is from 10 days after. That is 7 days before. Look at that. Kevin, what's up, brother? I love this, man. I'm here, brother. How are you, brother? This is Kevin, 7 days before and 10 days after. Okay, so lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of social proof. That's what we're going to call that, right? Social proof. So with that being said, I don't need to close that down. What am I doing? Is there anybody that wants to purchase the product but does not know how to? I'm going to do this, and I'm going to flip that camera back around. Can you guys hear me? Can everybody hear me okay? Video settings. I'm going to flip that around. Yep. Okay. Okay. Is there anybody that wants to order the product but doesn't know how to? And if that is you, then type the word help. And I see Michelle is typing help because Michelle probably knows that there are a lot of people who are just shy and don't want to. So I'm going to go with that, Michelle. I don't care. It looks like we've got 16 people listening from Twitter, and we've got one person still on Twitch, and we've got Robert. You already bought it, right on. And I can't see FrostCon. I just had to ban somebody on my Twitch feed. I apologize. Okay. Robert Munoz already bought it. And I can't see. Can somebody type something for me? It seems like the last time I blocked somebody, it broke the chat. So can somebody type something for me? Okay. Jan asks, does it give you an upset stomach? No, it does not give you an upset stomach at all. Okay, I want to jump over here real quick. Robert says, I already bought it. Robert, so here's the deal, and awesome. Congratulations. You're getting ready to change your life. I'm going to send you a text at the conclusion of this live stream. In fact, I could do it right now. I'm going to do it because I'm not live on my phone, I can do it right now. So Robert, let me see if I can find you real quick in my phone. I think I see you because your username is your name. Is that right, Robert? Let's see. And you did the subscription. Okay, here we go. I'm going to send you a text. Guys, this is how it works. I'm going to send Robert a text right now. So I'm going to go here. And I'm going to send you, Robert. It's a copied and pasted text, but it's actually coming from me. It's going to say, congratulations on starting the Feel Great system. Robert, comma, paste. And I'm going to add in here, Robert, you get your own code. Right now, you used my link to purchase the product. Here's how this works. I'm going to send you in this text, you will have your link. Okay, I'm just going to check it to make sure that it says your name before I hit send. Make sure that it says your name, which it does. Okay, Robert, it's going to come to you right now. You should get my text right now. And what I'm going to do is program you into my phone, and you'll be on my mailer list. I don't send out a whole bunch of information. Let's see. Create new contact. I've got your email in there now. Okay, so here's how this works. Done. Okay, Robert, did you get my text? Okay, I just want to check real quick. Did you get my text? And so what I just did was I sent Robert my congratulations text. On that text are some links to watch. And Robert, watch those links. They're just some videos that are going to help you succeed, okay? That's the whole goal, is to help you succeed. It's going to invite you to some groups on some other social media platforms. One of the groups, well, really one of them is my Facebook page, which I don't believe anybody's watching from right now, but let's just stay in contact. It also shows you how to find me on every social media platform. I'm on all of them. Right now, we've got 16 people listening from Twitter. So we're on Twitter. We're on, right now, I'm live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, DLive, Twitch, Instagram, and TikTok. And I feel like there's another one in there as well. So it'll show you how to find me on all of those. And then it gives you your link. Now, here's the deal. It costs you $154. You just spent $154. Robert, when you start seeing improvement on this, when you start to actually feel better, when you start to see your glucose numbers drop, when you start to see your cholesterol drop, what you'll do is you'll send people to my live stream. Let me explain why it works. And then when they go to sign up, instead of using my link, they'll use your link, and you'll get a $10 product credit. Every time they order, you'll get $10 off of your order every single time. And then if you refer a second person, again, send them to my live stream on whichever platform they want to watch me on, YouTube, whatever. And every time they order, you'll get a $10 product credit. You'll be saving money and helping your friends and family get healthy yourself. Okay. So with that being said, check, Robert, I did send it to you, and let me see. Number end with 1788. Robert, maybe check the spam folder. Sometimes I get sent to spam. Does it help with hormones? Interestingly enough, does it help with hormones? That's a great question. Interestingly enough, yes. Okay, whoops. You know, whether I'm just looking for my own live. Come on. just looking for my own. There we go. Okay. I can see my own live. Looks like we got, what, 25 people on TikTok still? Okay, so back to the questions. Jan, does it help with hormones? Insulin is a hormone. It's the most active hormone in your body. So yes, but I'm sure that's not the one you were talking about. I'm sure you're talking about, I'm thinking that's Jan is in a woman's name. I don't know, talking about maybe that midlife type of hormones, the menopause and that sort of thing. A lot of women say that it definitely helps with that. Robert, I just sent a text to the number that you used on your registration. So you may have typed in the wrong phone number. 1688, I think it was. Let me see. 1788 was the phone number that was given to me. But if it ends in 1700, I will change that right now. Done. Well, that makes you wonder how many times that happens. Let's see. Copy, and I will resend that to you again. Just resend it to you again, but I sent it to 1700. So tell me if you get that, Robert. Jen, I hope that answered your question. What other questions do we have? Got it. Okay, there you go. So, I mean, that's what it is. You're talking to me. That is my personal phone number, Robert, by the way. That's my personal cell. I'm watching myself on talk right now on my own phone. So you have my personal phone number. That's the way that this works. If you order, you use the system, I'm going to reach out to you with my personal number and try and help you navigate this new journey as best I know how to help you. Let me see. What are the questions? Is there anybody that wants to order the system but does not know how to? And if that is you, then type the word help. Type the word help. Otherwise, please feel free to ask questions, any questions that you might have. Let me see. I'm just looking to see if there's, how many people are new to me versus how many people have been here before. If you are new, type the word new. If you've seen me before, type been here. If I opt for one balance versus two, is there a benefit in splitting it 50-50 between my two meals? Sure. I would probably just take it with the heaviest meal. I would probably just take it with the heaviest meal. 9763 is new. What do you think, 9763? Is this been informational? And Gigi has been here for. Our wife Tracy has been here before, considers herself a veteran. 8274, if I opt for one balance versus two. Right now, Mountain Girl asks, is it still two balance and one Unimate? Yes, it is right now. Yes, that will be changing in the coming weeks. I would say don't wait. If you're waiting for that change, just get on the system, and they're going to send an email to anybody who's on the system and ask them. They will ask them if they want to change. You're not going to be forced to change if you want to stay on the old protocol. So hop onto the system. You've been stalking me? That is funny. Been stalking. Tracy does that as well. Seen the product before, but just can't afford it. 9763. At this point, it seems like I've been talking about the product for quite a bit of this particular live stream. However, up until I ask people if they're interested in how to buy the product, I bet 95% of my live stream is dedicated to how to do this without purchasing anything. Okay. And I feel like I really, really try to emphasize that for everybody. Now, I want to throw out a couple of options there. If you are interested in the product, but maybe you're financially struggling with that, there are some alternative ways to purchase it. Okay. First off, they do accept, I don't think I can say the name. I'm going to type it, actually. I will type it. Oops, not that. This one here. You guys see that, what I just typed up? They do accept that. I don't think I'm allowed to say that on TikTok anymore. That's funny. 8274. My doctor was unaware of Feel Great System, so I shared the info. He looked it up on the PDR at my appointment and was so impressed. Boom. If that doesn't deserve a mic drop, I don't know what does. Okay. So Tracy points out, and FSA cards. So some people, their FSA card will work, some people it won't. Mine, it does not work. Check with your, or HSA, I'm sorry, check with your HSA account. Some will, some won't. Mine will not. And then, what is the other one that Michelle talks about all the time? It begins with a K. And the reason I bring up this here, by the way, is this one here that I just pinned. The reason I bring that up is they will allow you to break your payments into two, like every 2 weeks. So if the idea of that 154 is just too much in one shot, they'll let you break it up into two. There it is. I'm not going to say it out loud because I think we're not supposed to say that. I was told yesterday by my TikTok agent I'm not supposed to say that. So we're just going to type it there. That right there. If you guys are familiar with that website, I believe they'll let you break it up into 4 payments. Okay, so you go to that website, you plug in the purchase, and then they allow you to break it up into 4 payments. Now, to that point, what you are going to find, and what most people find, is that when you skip breakfast, when you stop skipping this, when you start skipping snacks, as you get into this system, you will find that you're saving more than that $5 per day. In fact, I've had people say that they were saving $300 and $400 per month by being on this. So a net positive of like $250 a month. So what I would suggest is, if you are interested in it, okay, and you want to purchase it, there are some ways that you can do it, like the one that's pinned right now in the site, or the other one that I mentioned, this one here. A third alternative, and then of course, as I was saying earlier, once you're on it, if you start having success, then send people to my live streams and tell them to use your link if they decide to sign up, right? And then you'll get, every time they order, you'll get $10 in product credit. That's really the way that this thing works, is rather than paying some actors who have never actually gotten any benefit from it, they actually give you that advertising fee. You go tell your friends about it, get them on it. Now, I understand that maybe you're not a salesperson, maybe you're not as familiar with the science behind it as some of us are. So send them to my live stream and say, hey, you know what? If it's interesting, here's my link, and let them use your link to sign up, and you'll get $10 in product credit. Ron, I love this. It is easy, and I'm a truck driver. That's powerful because truckers oftentimes struggle the most, right? I'm going to jump over to my Twitter feed. And I don't know if I can see any comments on there. Looks like it shows that I'm live right now, but I don't know that it even shows comments on there. Guys, I am on my Twitter feed right now. So if there's anybody who has a question, I can see the Twitter comments right now just through my phone. So if you're on Twitter and you want to ask a question, yes, X. I'm sorry, it's called X now, right? Okay, if you have any questions on X or Twitter, whatever we're calling it now, feel free to ask them. I've kind of got it in my corner of my eye right here, so I'll be able to answer those questions if anybody has any questions. Is there anybody who wants to order the system, does not know how to? If that's you, then type the word help. Otherwise, please ask questions while I'm here. Otherwise, I'll start wrapping it up a little bit. I also said I couldn't afford it, but I'm saving in doctor bills and copays. My health is so much better than this, right? Okay. Lisa 9763 can't afford. I think this is going to the person that said they can't afford it. 9763 says, I can relate. What can you cut out to afford it? I mean, that's what it boils down to. Okay. What questions have you got? Is there anybody that has any questions? And if so, please ask. Please ask questions. Otherwise, I'm going to start wrapping it up. We're at almost 3.5 hours on this live stream. That's pretty crazy. Does anybody have any questions? And maybe can't comment on X. Okay. Well, there we go. My doctor said that I mentioned, okay, let's see. My doctor that I mentioned earlier was prepared to start me on a statin, but said, no, do Feel Great system first. Wow. 8274, that is awesome. Brenda Rod, make your health a priority. Carrie says, great way to look at it. Renee, surprised to still see you on it, right? Yeah, here I am. That is a great doctor. Okay. Does anybody, and maybe, let's see, if we can't comment on here, then I'm going to go ahead and leave that live stream. Looks like we're at, wow. Over on the TikTok, we're at 18,900 likes and 24 shares. I can't see how many people, because of the way that I'm doing this, I can't see how many people. Oh, I could see. Actually, bear with me. I can see how many people have given me a follow during this feed. Okay. Looks like 53 people have given me a follow during this live feed. Multitasking. Trying to tap and stuff my face. Okay. Okay. Carrie says, are you on the system? Carrie says, I'm curious. And La Unica, how are you, La Unica? What questions have we got, if any? Does anybody have any questions? And if so, ask away. I'm getting ready to wrap this live stream up. We're 19,000 likes, 19,600 likes, coming up on 20,000 likes on TikTok, 24 shares on TikTok, and over 50 new followers on TikTok. Okay, so what that tells, oh, you're on day 2. Who is your coach, Carrie? Who is your sponsor? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping this up. Is Michelle I'm out of tomorrow. I don't understand what that is, Michelle. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping it up. We are at a lot. I do a live stream every single day. TikTok jail, that's right. My live stream, I do one of these every single day. I encourage everybody that's on the system, come and join this live stream. Go and join Michelle's, go and join Tanya's. People are doing live streams. Get into their live streams and stay motivated. If you're ordering the system through me, or through the link in my bio, I'm going to be sending you a text, as I just did for Robert earlier. When I send that text out, I'm not trying to just spam you guys. I'm really not. I'm just trying to help you navigate your health journey. I'm pretty familiar with this. So if you want me to stop, just say, don't bother me. I got this on my own, and I'll leave you alone. I just want to try and help you out. I will invite you, unless you tell me otherwise, to a Wednesday science call that we do. That Wednesday science call really is excellent. We bring in doctors, professional educators, professional people from the medical industry, doctors and physician's assistants, endocrinologists, neurosurgeons. We bring in a lot of people to that Wednesday call to really talk about the medical side of this from an educated perspective. That one's a wonderful call Wednesday night. So I will be inviting you to that. I really don't send out a whole lot of emails. You should be looking forward to a new call that myself and Ro and Tanya and a number of other people are kind of putting together. It'll be really, really cool. Everybody that's talking about it is pretty excited about it. It's looking like it's going to be Sunday afternoons. And I'm not sure of a time frame just yet, but Sunday afternoons. And that call, I think, is going to be very powerful, just like the Wednesday call is. And we'll be seeing that thing spread across a lot of different platforms as well. So I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping this thing up. Let's see. Jen asked, does it help with perimenopause and menopause? A lot of people are saying yes, Jen. Here, Tanya actually answered that. Women say it has helped them. Okay. Carrie and Michelle will be going live on her other account right now. Michelle, right now you'll be going live. Yes, Tanya, it's looking like Sunday. I've talked to, so I have actually spoken with in this group. So here's what's kind of coming up is it's looking like there's going to be a group of people that have carried live streams for some time. People like myself, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but people have done live streams for a while. Those people, that might be myself, Janine Patterson, who carries an amazing live stream, Casey McKinnon, Megan O'Brien, and William Winterton. The five of us will probably be conducting this initially and breaking up the responsibility. So one of us do it 1 week and then somebody else and doing this. And what we're going to be doing is bringing in doctors, physician's assistants, dietitians, certified diabetes educators every week into that call. And we will be kind of isolating the call to something that's very specific. Like 1 week, we might talk about high blood pressure. The next week, we might talk about type 2 diabetes. The next week, we might talk about obesity. The next week, we might talk about erectile dysfunction or something like that. And then we'll bring in a guest who has had an amazing experience on this system, specifically applying to whatever that week's conversation piece is. So that call is looking, I think it's going to be really powerful. It'll be wonderful for partners because it'll be like an hour basically dedicated to one specific topic. So if you are a distributor who's listening to me, this call is going to be really powerful for you because, I mean, it'll be an entire hour. But more than that, we're going to have a schedule that's set up in advance. So we'll be able to talk about this a week in advance. So if you are a say just a customer, you're not a distributor, and you know that this week's call is on hypertension. You'll be able to go and say, hey, my buddy Dave has high blood pressure, and go to Dave and say, hey, there's a call this Sunday afternoon revolving around high blood pressure. Dave, you should attend this, right? And you'll be able to start specifically helping. More than that, that same call will be saved to my YouTube or to the other content providers' YouTubes, or wherever they're going to be streaming it to as well. So there will be an opportunity when somebody asks, does this help with hypertension? We're going to pull up a YouTube video that spoke for an hour with a doctor about how the product actually helps with hypertension. Let's say you're struggling with obesity. Wouldn't it be nice to have a registered dietitian talk about how this product will help with obesity? If we're talking about diabetes, wouldn't it be nice to have a certified diabetes educator talking about diabetes? Or if you have neuropathy, pain, tingling, or numbness in your feet, legs, or extremities, what if there was a neurosurgeon talking about how this product works, or diabetes, or something like that? That's kind of what is coming down the pipe. I think we're going to start this in the next, we got a couple of weeks to really coordinate schedules and make sure that all of us, because it doesn't really work if we can't all agree on a specific time. It'll be the same time every week. And then we'll hash out a schedule of what's going to be when, and then we'll let the medical professionals choose, hey, I'm more suited for that conversation, right? But we've got medical doctors that have already said, yes, I love this idea. I know Dr. Eric Aiken has already said he loves the idea. Dr. Tiffany Marie on TikTok, Dr. Tiffany Hendricks, has already said she loves the idea. Shannon Davis loves the idea. She's a registered dietitian. Shannon Davis has also spent a lot of time in the nephrology ward with people with dialysis. So Shannon will be able to cross over multiple platforms here. So there is some really cool stuff coming down the pipe. Stay tuned. I'm really excited about this. And when we start pairing a testimonial, I think, with that, so you've got the social proof, you'll have a somebody like myself talking about the science proof, as I always do, and then we'll transition over to the medical proof, right? And you'll be able to say ahead of time, hey, I've got this friend who has type 2 diabetes. And you'll be able to say, I'll be able to say, hey, you know what? This weekend's call, this Sunday call is about type 2 diabetes. Share it with your friend. Or down the road, you're saying, hey, Jim, can you show me that video on type 2 diabetes? And I'll share it with you and you can send it to your friend. Voila, it'll be amazing. I'm really excited about this. It'll be a great educational thing for the distributors. It'll be a wonderful thing for the customers. That's the whole goal, is helping people get healthy faster. And if you guys need proof, all we're talking about doing is bringing more and more and more proof to the table. If you've been listening to this live stream and you're watching people in my comment section that are saying, I've had an amazing experience on this. In fact, before I wrap this live up, do me a favor. If you are on this live stream and you are on the product, we still got 30-something people on TikTok. We've got 20 on Twitter. I wish I could get your comments. If you're on the product, do me a favor and just give a quick little blurb as far as what the product, how long have you been on the product, and what has it done for you? As I'm wrapping up, I'm going to wait for these comments to come in, and I'll start highlighting those across the screen. I don't care which platform you're on. If you're on the product, I don't care who your coach is, if you're on your coach or not. I know that a lot of people will listen to my live streams and I'm not their coach. So Tanya, took my A1C from 10 to 5.6 in 6 months, off diabetes and blood pressure meds. Cholesterol is good, down 32 pounds in 10 months. Michelle, Cows and Cotton Clothing Company. By the way, if you're not giving these people a follow, do it. Getting my life back, lost 80 plus pounds and 67 inches in 7 months. Husband's A1C is finally below 10, lost about 45 pounds. Carrie says, I love this. Carrie's brand new to the system. 2 days, tastes great, and really does curb the appetite. That's 2 days in on the system. Day number 2. Tracy, 62 days in, down 17 pounds and 13.5 inches. User, let's see, low, since March 12th, have lost about 12 pounds. Glucose numbers have remained low since then. User 8274, on Feel Great system for 6 weeks, down 12 pounds, body mass index down 2.1 points, no labs yet. Are you following? Do you use a glucose meter though? Have you seen anything with that? Carrie, that's cows and cotton. Okay. EMT Custom Creations, amazing product, incredible energy, restful sleep, weight loss. I feel fantastic. No more snacking. Tracy, husband is off 5 meds, only taking 3 now, down 20 pounds. We both feel great, sleeping better, increased energy. That was a spur of the moment question. And a lot of these people, I am not low. I don't believe I'm your sponsor. It's kind of hard with the TikTok name. So if I'm, if you are under me, I apologize. I don't know low 51012, so I don't know if I'm your sponsor or not. Same with 8274. I'm thinking I might be your sponsor. Carrie says, I don't believe I'm your sponsor. Maybe I am. I don't know if I am or not. So these people are people that you're with William. Okay. You just heard me talking about William. I had a great conversation with William last night. This is going to be exciting. Is it okay to watch others live? Yes, Carrie, I encourage it. Watch everybody's lives. You're going to learn something from me. Hopefully you learn something from me. But watching other people, you're going to learn something from them. And the best thing that you can do is get educated, right? It doesn't suck. Go get more educated. How are you going to do that? Learn from other people. I don't know everything. I know what I know, but I learn something from people every day week. Ron Davis, down 17 pounds in 5 weeks. Do you have to follow a specific eating lifestyle? Jan, this is great. Great question. Thank you for asking this. I had a person yesterday who's been following me for some time, and she's been on the system, and she is unable to go to the grocery store, and her husband is now doing the shopping, and let's just say he's like most guys. He doesn't read the labels. He just goes and gets what he gets and brings it home and cooks it. And she said, well, I can't control my food, so I'm going to quit taking the product until I can go back to the store. And I thought, well, I don't think that really makes sense, right? Because at no point during this live stream have you told me, or have you heard me say what you need to eat. I've made suggestions that you should try and eat healthier. The 90-day money-back guarantee from Unicity has nothing to do with what you eat, okay? It has to do with using the product consistently. Be consistent with the product, and you'll see results. If you don't, they'll give you 90 days. They'll give you money back after 90 days. Okay, so I always recommend eating better, making better, healthier choices. But no, there isn't a specific eating lifestyle. Now, if you were to sign up with me and you wanted to know what I'm eating, what I'm doing, I will gladly share it with you. In fact, I share it in my live streams just about every day. So yes, Carrie says, I hope that answers your question, Jan. Carrie says, Megan, is that Megan Groth or Megan O'Brien? I'm curious. And I love the knowledge. Keep listening, okay? I watch other lives to learn from others. That's awesome. Okay. Everyone is very helpful, even though they are not our coaches. Lo, I couldn't agree more. Only one regret, I didn't start sooner. This helps with food control. I can't control it without this. I'm a Feel Great system stalker. You watch everyone. Catherine, are you on the system, Catherine? And if so, who is your coach? Let's see. Carrie says Megan O'Brien. Okay, so Megan and I are really good. Megan and I are good friends as well. I just had a conversation with Megan. Was it yesterday or 2 days ago? It was 2 days ago. I'm sorry. William, I had the conversation 2 days ago as well. Megan, I just had a conversation. So she's going to be co-hosting that same Sunday call that I was just talking about. She'll take one of the days. I'll take one of the days. And then as other people get stronger with their live streams, their ability to carry a live stream, we'll start introducing more and more and more people in. I can tell you that we've introduced Ro into the group. I think Ro will be doing these live streams with us in short order. Everybody loves Ro, right? Okay. Shay. What is Shay's last name? I think I just met a Shay recently. Boy, I think I might have been. I'm not sure. I feel like I just met a Shay recently. Okay, Jan. Before I leave, Jan, are you considering ordering the product? And if so, do you know how to? One final round of this. If there's anybody that wants to order the product but does not know how to, then type the word help. And considering the fact that people on Twitter can't even see, they can't type the word help, I'm going to go ahead and show how to do it, okay? And so what I will do is pull up my TikTok. I'm going to share my screen. Let's see. Let's go like this. Go here. Let's go share. Okay, share. Okay, can everybody see my screen now? Now, if you're on your mobile, it's going to look obviously different than this, right? But this is my home screen on TikTok. Basically, my home screen is where you'll see at the Real Gym BBQ, the Healthy Pitmaster. I don't care what platform you're on. If you're watching me from Twitter, okay, and let me see here. Let's go like this. Oops. I want to do that. Let's go like this. Share the screen. Well, I bet you that was just huge, wasn't it? Okay, there we go. Let's try this again. That is my home screen. Whoops, and that's not the right one. I apologize. Bear with me, guys. I'm going to there we go. I want to stop sharing my screen real quick. Mama Bear, what's up, Lori? How are you? Bear with me. Wait, is that Lori? That's Lori, right? See, I get goofed up. Okay, here we go. There we go. Now I can do this. Let's go like this. Y'all can see my screen. Okay, so here we go. How do we order how do you order the product? This is my TikTok homepage, and on my TikTok homepage, and that just means that's where you will find my TikTok videos, okay? You'll find me, though, if you wanted to search in Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, if you type in The Real Gym BBQ or The Healthy Pitmaster, you'll find me on every social media platform. On every social media platform, you'll find I'm a competitive barbecue cook who fought the Grim Reaper and won. Let's talk about my Twitter page. If you go to my Twitter page, you'll see The Healthy Pitmaster at The Real Gym BBQ, and you'll find I'm a competitive barbecue cook who fought the Grim Reaper and won. This is my story. It's the exact same thing on every social media platform. In each one of those, you will find a link tree / the Healthy Pitmaster. Again, I don't care if you're on Twitter or if you're on TikTok. You'll find Linktree / the Healthy Pitmaster. If you click that, it will bring you into my Linktree. That Feel Great system, that's what we're talking about. And I do want to point out real quick, a lot of people say, I'm not going to buy it from this dude on TikTok. I'm going to go to Amazon. It's $154 if you order it on my link. You're buying it direct from the manufacturer. If you go over to Amazon, you'll notice it's $249, $218, $240. It's way more expensive. In addition to that, it is not authorized for sale on these websites. This could be counterfeit product. It could be expired product. It could be tampered with. Don't buy it there. It's not authorized for sale. The only place that they authorize the sale of their product is through their link specifically. So when you click on that Unicity Feel Great, it will take you here. You're using my and my wife's referral code to get a lifetime discount from Unicity. You're not buying a single thing from me. You're buying it direct from the manufacturer. That buy now button, if you click that, you'll go through, you can choose apple spice for a limited time. You can choose lemon or lemon ginger. I really would not recommend lemon ginger. I love it personally, but if you don't like ginger, you're not going to like lemon ginger. I would say, or apple spice. Apple spice tastes a lot like apple cider. Some people love it. Some people think it's too sweet. Lemon, almost nobody got lemon. So do the subscription. If you want to scroll down a little bit, you'll see down here, there is a 90-day money-back guarantee. If you want to read the promise, Unicity stands behind its products by offering our non-distributor purchases a 100% money-back satisfaction guarantee on Feel Great. If for any reason within 90 days after your purchase you are dissatisfied with your Feel Great products, Unicity will, upon written request, issue you a full purchase price refund. Okay? It's a 90-day money-back guarantee. So, are there any questions to this point? I also want to go, let's say I want to scroll back one page from here. If you were to scroll down a little bit from the main page, if you hit the products, there's balance and Unimate. If you hit learn more, let's just click on the learn more for Unimate. Click that picture right there. It will take you over to the product page for Unicity Unimate. Now, you heard me say 10 times the chlorogenic acid of a typical cup of coffee. You can read that right here. The yerba mate leaves in Unicity Unimate undergo a unique 5-step process: hand-picking, fire roasting, extracting, concentrating, and purifying. The result is a proprietary extract that enhances the benefits of yerba mate and contains up to 10 times the amount of chlorogenic acids found in a typical cup of coffee and 20 times the chlorogenic acids found in other commercially available yerba mate products. That is I didn't realize 20 times. They've changed that from 375 to 20. They must be saying for commercially available. So there you go. There it is. Is there anybody that, yes, there is no money back guarantee on products from Amazon. Don't buy it through Amazon, guys. Gary Daw, you think that dual screen setup is pretty cool? Appreciate you. Okay, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you for the likes, follows, shares. We're at 25 shares, 23,000 likes, 54 new followers just off of this live stream alone, just on TikTok. Who knows what it was on other platforms. If you are watching me on another platform, give me a follow and hit the whatever the notification thing is to let you know when I go live. I do daily live streams, and we'll keep on doing daily live streams to educate about this product and get the word out. If you are on the system and you want to tell somebody else about the product, send them to my live stream. Send them to somebody else's live stream. Let somebody who's educated on it talk about the product. If they order the product, you'll use your link and you'll get a $10 product credit. Okay, you can really reduce the price by helping people get healthy. Okay, have a wonderful day. Thank you for the likes, comments, and all the interaction. We've had wonderful interaction in this live stream. I've really enjoyed this. We'll do it again tomorrow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And by the way, for those that have given me your trust, that means the world to me. I take that very seriously. I don't take it lightly. I appreciate that. I'm going to do everything I can forever and ever to uphold that level of trust. So thank you very much for that level of trust, and we'll see you tomorrow. By the way, if you wanted to watch this live stream in its entirety, maybe you came in late, it will be on YouTube, it'll be on Facebook, it'll be on Twitter. Those live streams stay up there, so feel free to go and watch them on those, and I'll look forward to hearing from you in the future, or watch my lives or whatever. Have a good one.